We're live.
We're
What's
live,
up?
dude.
We're live. What's up, Frank? How are we
What's up,
doing?
man?
Frank.
GORCAST episode 2, bro.
Episode 2, man.
GORCAST
I'm
episode
glad.
2.
I'm glad you could. I'm glad you could be here for it, and thanks for coming, dude. So, Frank, Uncle Frank, how we doing, buddy?
Good, man. I'm
You're in Chicago now.
I'm out here.
You're back. You're back home.
Back home. Well, technically, if anyone who's watching is from Chicago, they're gonna yell at me because I'm not in right now. Mundelein, which is a northwest suburb of Chicago, it's like 45 minutes outside the city. So if you're from Chicago, I'd get a lot of heat right now saying I'm in Chicago. They'd be like, "You're in the burbs, dude. You're not in Chicago."
It's like being from Tacoma, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm from Seattle, dude. I'm in Seattle."
Yeah. Which when I lived in, so I guess to catch up to where I'm at now, just moved back this past November. I was living in Seattle for the past 4 years, which is where me and you started chilling.
Yeah, how was that?
Dude, Seattle. I have mixed feelings about Seattle. I there's parts of it that I love. There's parts of it that I hate. I think a lot of it had to do the loved part. I think like being from the Midwest, like we don't have anything beautiful out here, and like when we tell you we do, we're fluffing it. Like especially if like after living in somewhere as pretty as Seattle and seeing like real mountains, real ocean, real shit that's like, you know, people travel to go see it. Midwest will tell you like, well, we've got Lake Michigan, which I mean, I guess is cool, but it's just a big lake. And the most we have is like a couple forest preserves. So being from the Midwest, when I moved out there, I think like for me, the coolest part was just seeing shit that I never grew up with, you know? And like where
Mountains,
I live,
trees and shit like that.
Yeah. And you know, from being in my house, where I lived, I had a nice view of like the Puget Sound, the Space Needle, and then to my left was like Mount Rainier.
Your apartment itself though had a nice view of like this weird alleyway.
Yeah. I was paying 100% for that roof.
Right, exactly. The rooftop.
So yeah, and it's so funny when I toured that apartment. I asked the lady when she walked me through it. I was like, "Dude, is there any apartments with like better view?" And she was just like, "No, let me take you upstairs." But she took me upstairs. She's like, "This is what you're paying for." And then I was like, "Okay, cool."
Right, and it was a sick view.
I think it was a sick
Rest
view.
in peace. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. That there's no apartment building happier right now than that building, knowing that I moved out.
Dude, yeah. We'll get to war stories about your party that we had later because it's actually my birthday today.
It is.
One of the last times we hung out at your house, it was your birthday, so that's kind of cool. That's so cool in a weird way.
What a turn of events, man. Because when I looked this morning, I looked at my phone, and you know how Facebook tells you whose birthday it is. I looked at my phone and it said your birthday, and I'm like, this motherfucker is having me on his podcast tonight, and he's gonna just like not tell me it's his birthday. So then I
wanted to spend it. That's what I wanted for my birthday was a podcast with Uncle Frank. So with family time, you got to spend time with your family on your birthday. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
But you're Frankie Pierri, though. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No.
About moving about Chicago?
So I moved back because the part of Seattle that I hated on that family topic is my whole family is in Illinois.
Right.
My extended family, my brothers and sisters.
And you guys are like a real family. You guys are like, when I see you post on Instagram, like you're hanging out with your family more than anybody else. Like you're a family man.
Yes. Which I totally know is not the norm for a lot of people. And I think I do consider myself very fortunate to have that relationship with my family. Because we're all really close. So I hadn't lived out here since Seattle was the third city I had moved to since 2014. So I'd moved a bunch of different times for my last job. I hadn't lived by my family since like 2014. So I think the hate part of Seattle that I say, like I have a love-hate, the hate part comes from, I think just, I was kind of at my breaking point of like living far from everybody, you know?
Right.
And it, you know, I love the people that are from there. And I had a lot of really, really good friends from Seattle that I miss. And, you know, I have amazing relationships. Like me and you wouldn't even be on this right now if we didn't
Probably
meet
not. No.
due to Seattle. But it was time for me to come home, so
Right.
I got a new job, and that takes me up to now. And I haven't quite got a spot yet. I haven't got an apartment yet. So right now I'm living with my parents for like probably the next month or so before I have to start going back into the office.
As a true family man would.
Yeah. It's it's funny because I'll probably have to start looking at a place in the next month or so, because my job is actually downtown in the city, so it's like downtown Chicago. So commuting that every day is like not going to be ideal, man. So probably move down there. Yeah, probably move down there like the next couple months. But for now, I'm taking advantage of the free fucking rent, the free food. There's 6 kids in my family, so I never have been an only child.
Yeah.
So right now I'm totally maximizing the only child thing. Like I'm like, hey mom, are you going to the grocery store? She's like, yeah, what do you need? And I'm like, I need this, I need that, and she's like super down. Yeah,
you're cashing in right now, brother. You're cashing in.
I'm 100%. I'm the middle of 6 kids. Well, so wow. 6 doesn't have a middle, but I'm the 3rd oldest. So like growing up, dude, like we lived in a house from when I was born till probably about 10. We lived in a 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom, where we had all of us. So like at the time our family was like growing and we didn't really have a lot of space and shit. So like most of my childhood was sharing rooms. When I moved to this house, this is a 3-bedroom house, and we had 6 kids living here and my parents in a 3-bedroom. So I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And the room I'm in now is the room that me and my brothers used to share.
Bunk beds?
And we had 2 bunk beds.
So it's like it was like a damn barracks. It was like the Pierri barracks, dude.
Oh, straight up. And I still, there's parts of me that I don't remember, like, how did that even work? Because I had 2 sisters, but my youngest sister, she's like hella young. She's 10 years younger than me. I don't know where, I don't like remember where she slept. But then like my older sister went to college, so that freed up a room. But so now that I'm back home, dude, like I'm full on, like I'm like spoiled only child. I'm like, hey mom, I got laundry. Can you do it? Like I'm cashing in, dude. And it'll be short lived. Right. I mean, it'll be short lived, but I'm cashing the fuck in right now. Dude.
She's probably just happy to see you after living away for so long. So
yeah. Well, you've interacted with my mom.
She's hilarious. She needs her own podcast. Yeah. She's next.
Yeah.
So you're Frankie Pierri. My agent told me I was getting the guy from Amur, but I got you. So I'm just kidding.
You're waiting to make that joke.
I was. I'm just kidding. But it is funny because it leads me into the story of how you and I got to actually like talking again and hanging out and stuff. Oh. And it's kind of relevant to that the classic Pierri Palmieri joke because I was I posted something. Or I saw your name on something. I can't remember what, but I replied to like your comment, and I was like something. You know, I don't remember what I said at all. But you responded. You were like, "Thanks, man." Also, I love Traders. Traders is awesome because you thought I was Tyler. Yes. You thought I was Tyler Shelton from Traders. And I was like, damn it, I'm not Tyler Shelton. Like, because a lot of people, I was doing more screaming videos online, and people I have long hair, and my name's Taylor, and so people made a connection or something. But that was a funny thing how we started talking, and you're like, yeah, I'm in Seattle now, and then we ended up hanging out. And and I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, it's pretty, you know, it's one of the things about you that I think is a very special thing. We can talk about your metalcore credentials later because you do have metalcore credentials that make it a relevant, you know, guest, but make you a relevant guest. But I just wanted to talk because you, even in the short period of time that I met you, have kind of become like a beacon of joy and positivity in my life. Like every time we've ever, and I'm not even gassing you up, but every time like we ever hang out, I just kind of leave like feeling, you know, uplifted and like like shit, like I want to like try to be a better friend and my friend I wanted to try to have that
Good.
positivity for my other friends. You know what I mean? Because like
Oh,
I
sure.
remember
Yeah.
spending a weekend with you for your birthday. It was like we had this crazy party. I met like 20 of your closest friends or something, and made acquaintances with like 100 more. And then we all like went to brunch. And it was like I was like part of the group for like one day. It was like I got the free trial version of like being your friend in Seattle. You know what I mean? And being a part of the group, and it like meshed really well. So I guess I just wanted to call or wanted to do this podcast with you and have you on here so you can talk about and maybe I don't know, maybe we'll get into. I guess that leads me to one of my questions here. I don't have like an agenda really, but like, how do you keep such a positive kind of attitude? You know what I mean? Especially when you're all the way across the country from your family. Recently when you were living in Seattle, and when you're just kind of with all the pandemic bullshit, and you're just kind of like, I feel like you ride on this consistent. Like you're not like one of those overly positive dudes, like, wake up in the morning and smell the roses and like, you're not a cringy inspirational kind of guy, but you're also just not ever negative. I've never seen you really be negative other than making jokes about things or whatever. Being sarcastic is one thing, but it's always this like, I don't know. It's like this perfect constant of just like you're living through whatever's going to happen, and you're going to have like that base level of positive attitude. And so I'm just like, what do you sit in front of do you write little sticky notes on your mirror? What do you do? I know you don't do that, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? How do you keep a positive attitude all the time?
Oh, I think first of all, man, I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, that kind of stuff really, I take that stuff to heart and I don't take it lightly. So I appreciate that.
Of course, dude.
And our friendship is something that I find very special because there's a lot of distance between us and it never really feels that way, Right. So I do appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here, man. And I guess to talk through like a little bit of the positivity thing and just kind of how I am at this point in my life, to be really honest, and I guess a little vulnerable. I wasn't always like this. I grew up a really like pissed off kid. So like my childhood, I don't really know why, but I was always the kid out of my siblings who I was getting arrested. I got arrested for fighting. I got arrested for
nothing like crazy
and shit.
Oh, okay, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean the worst arrest that I had in my minor years, I got arrested for fighting a mall security guard, which is a whole story in and of itself. But
yes, dude.
Basically, there's a mall by my house that they told me to take my hood down. I was like such a little hothead that I said no. Go back and forth with this dude.
This is all over you at the mall not taking your hood down.
Yeah, so that's perspective on kind of how the kid that I was, right? So
right.
I think to actually to trace back a little farther, I was actually homeschooled up until 6th grade. So whole other topic we don't need to get into, but my siblings were each homeschooled up until basically we wanted to go to school. My older sister, she went when she was a junior in high school. So she was homeschooled like through her whole childhood. My older brother, he went in 8th grade to public school, and then I went in 6th. And for whatever reason, well, when you're homeschooled, just to be really honest, you're the weird homeschooled kid. Like when you go to public school, like no way around.
Everyone's all, hey, that kid was homeschooled.
Yeah, well, and for sure that you don't know any social nuances. You don't know like what you should or shouldn't do, what you should or shouldn't wear, should or shouldn't say. Like I remember when I was in homeroom, the bell went off and I didn't know what that meant, like to change classes. So like the bell goes off and I'm just sitting there like confused as fuck, and like just that kind of stuff, like end up getting bullied quite a bit. So I think what happened when I was younger is I learned that you either make kids laugh and that gets you accepted, or you just respond to the bullying with violence. So like growing up, I would get in fights all the time. I would get in a fight at school. I'd get, all this stuff. And I kind of created this like kind of persona where it was just like a don't mess with me kind of thing. And then what happened is over time, that morphed into, like a young adult, that morphed into my early 20s. It morphed into, when now I'm 18 getting in fights with kids. And, then I got into the hardcore scene. I got into the metal scene. And anyone who goes to shows
sounds like pouring gasoline on a fire right there.
Right. And, and heavy music for me was like, that's what I related with, like just the heavy side of stuff, the angry side, the pissed off side. Like as soon as I heard Slipknot for the first time, I was like, I'm 100% in, right? Like I was bought. Oh, yeah. Then if you go to shows, what happens is you go to shows and you get in fights with show kids, you get in mosh pits and get in fights and flip out at people and stuff. So that just brewed even more. And then after that whole era of my life, and we'll talk about the music stuff in a little, but I basically, in a lot of the relationships that I had, to me, life was so black and white that like you either are doing shit that fucks up your life or you're doing something that's going to benefit your life. And that's kind of a smart way to live, but over time, mix that with some anger stuff. Like you're a really hard person to get along with, because I would lose, like I had girlfriends that I definitely probably should have still dated, but I was impossible to get along with because everything was my way or the highway kind of shit, So then what happened is over time, there's different things, different points in my life where I knew like, got to get your shit under control, man. Like I got in a bar fight week before I stood up as the best man at my brother's wedding. And I got this, dude, I got this big ass black eye. So like, I literally had this huge black eye going into my brother's wedding. And I'm like 25, like I'm an adult, And so like, it was like a moment where I was like, I don't think your life is going the way you want it to. And like my career and stuff after music was going really well. Like in that area, I seemed to be able to lock it down really well. But then outside of my life, like I was just kind of all over the place. So that was like one instance. And I had a couple relationships that didn't work out due to how I was and how angry I got at shit. Then right around, I'd say actually probably like 2019, hit like a final kind of like, I can't live like this. And we're really only scratching the surface on a lot of the shit that I dealt with, but it was a deciding factor where I was like, there's got to be a better way to live, that I can't go through life.
What was that moment? I mean, can you share it? You don't have to name names or anything, but
yeah, it's for anyone who's been through a really bad breakup. I went through a really shitty breakup that both parties are definitely at fault, but
as
it was
usual,
a moment.
Usually, but
as usual, and it was a moment for me where I was like, "You haven't been able to hold down a relationship longer than a couple years." I had like one long-term relationship when I was a little younger, and I was like, I want to eventually be married. I want to be a dad. I want to have kids. I want to like be an adult. I was like,
you can't just be a tough guy, Frank. 100% of the time.
Yeah,
like even the baddest motherfuckers on the planet aren't tough guy all the time. Like you look at, The Rock or you know what I mean? Like some of the nicest people in the world are the baddest dudes. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and what I think what that is all related to is we all are trying to prove that we have our life under control. Like anger and stuff comes from, I have no control. So if I get bigger, it seems like I'm more in control, right? Like if I'm, if someone takes shit with me and I whoop his ass, I have control of that situation. And
you're saying that's the thought process that you were having.
Yeah. That's the thought process of like an angry dude. And I see this more and more, man. Like I see so many guys, like especially men, right, who are just like, they're chained to their temper. They're chained to how pissed they get. They're chained to everything that happens to them. Boom, they fly off the handle. Or like I'm sure you have friends where you're like, bro, you gotta just like relax about it, but they can't.
I mean, I think I've sifted those people out kind of over the years. I don't have
Right,
the time.
right.
I don't have the brain cells, the brain capacity to deal with that. But
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
we have all had those friends at one point.
Yeah, and you see it all the time. So I think I finally, right around 2019, after this really tough breakup, I decided I was going to start getting therapy. So I started seeing a therapist weekly, and then that really started to shift a lot of my perspective and a lot of the way that I handled life. And what we really worked through is that life is so gray, right? Like everything in life is so gray, and a lot of
As far
times,
as like, it's not black and white.
yeah, yeah, it's just not black and white. It's gray, like we want things to be simple. We want it to be this is the answer, and or this is what that person should do, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to do it. Everybody comes from a different walk of life. Everybody has a different circumstance. Everybody has something that makes them the way they are.
I mean,
Whether
they go
it's
through different shit each day. Like everybody's having a
Mhm.
different fucking day than you're having. So that's something I've been
Yeah,
trying to think about recently too. So, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But
So when I then what when you me and you started hanging out was about 2.5 years into therapy. Um, and I think what the biggest to kind of answer your question oddly is like I just try to go into life in a sense where no matter who I'm dealing with, I assume there's a reason they're being the way they are, and it's not my place to judge them for that reason. So it's not necessarily like a huge like I'm just positive every day. It's more just like we're all trying to figure this shit out.
mhm.
Everybody's trying to figure out life, right? Like we all this thing called life, we are all trying to figure it out.
Right.
Everybody comes from a different side. And if you go into meeting people with that mindset, you make a lot of better friends. Like you meet them where they're at. You
I
don't,
think you
you know,
become a better friend too. Like
yeah, yeah,
you're a better friend, and so by
yeah, it
association,
rubs off.
yeah, exactly.
Rubs off. And then I think like I think having all that anger in my younger years, now to me, the most important thing in my life is kind of a little more of like a sounds corny, but like being zen, right? Like just like I can't give any more energy
Right.
to something that I can't control.
And
And
just for people that don't know that are listening, you're not like a yoga
no,
granola
no,
like
no,
hippie zen guy.
no,
You're not an astrology
no,
major, and you
no,
don't
no.
charge your crystals. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're not one of those, but zen figuratively just meaning like I am not gonna let this harsh my mellow right now.
yes,
Or
yes. I
yeah,
used to say in Seattle a lot to Jared, who
right.
because Jared's a lot younger than me, and he
I mean,
reminds
he's a
me a
young
lot of
rambunctious
yeah. So we would have these talks.
partying man. I love Jared.
Yeah, so we would have talks like this all the time, and I would always say, like, dude, you got to just keep. Sounds really corny, but your vibe is sacred. That's what it is. And there's so many things
Damn,
that
your vibe
happen
is
that happen.
sacred.
It really is, man. And you have so many things happen to you that suck, right? And a lot of them are outside your control. So if something's outside your control and you just unload your anger or your frustration or your vibe, quote unquote, if you unload that into a situation that you have no sway on, who's losing? You're losing. You know what I mean? Like
True.
you're not able to impact certain situations. Like my favorite thing is watching people get worked up about like other people's lives or drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I mean, I'll hear something, crazy. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. But then people will be like, isn't that fucked up? Isn't that fucked up? And you're like, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't do that, but I don't need to let this get me worked up. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Right.
can hear the goal is to try and get to a place where you reserve your passion for things that actually like are going to matter, right? You reserve your passion for your vocation, whether
Or
it's, music or
your
your
workout.
career. Yeah, your workout, or I mean anything where you're kind of like you're going into life with a much more understanding lens rather than trying to figure everything out, control everything, because most of us are just trying to figure it out too. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like no one knows what the fuck is going on.
That's a big thing
I've
for
been
me.
Yeah, dude, like I've been in the corporate setting for a long time, and I've been around people who are in really big jobs. And when you get to talking to them, they all have shit going on. They have stuff going
Right.
on at home. They have stuff going on with their wives, their girlfriends, their boyfriends. Like, and everybody's trying to figure it out. But the real thing that people don't get is the more that you give your like frustration and you say like that's bullshit, whatever, like you feel like you're giving an opinion, but really you're giving up your peace. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're giving up your own peace. So there's things that I don't want to say, I would not say I'm like a pacifist person, but like there are things that I do feel strongly about and I will definitely voice my opinion about. And I'm not by any means perfect, but I think when you say like we're talking about being like an even keel and just like this consistent thing is that all you're trying to do is each day you're just trying to understand people and try to love people, like
Exactly.
that's what it is. And you will find, if you're someone who deals with anger, anyone who listens to this, if you're someone who deals with anger and you start to
A
try
lot
and
of angry metal kids probably tuning in on this, and so we're
oh
all
yeah, I
that's
am,
us, that's me and you. You know what I mean? We're
yeah, I am the, and metal, metal has, there's a place for it, there's a
right.
place for your aggression, and you want to find something if you really do feel like it needs to get released in some way. But now, dude, now after going to therapy, I still go every week. I don't ever feel myself getting as angry as I used to. It's like I don't even get there
Right.
because there's work being done. And when you're saying about the like when you're saying like motivational speakers and yoga and stuff like that, like
Right.
I believe personally, I get frustrated with that stuff because in my mind, if you really want to do, or if you want to be better and like self improvement, all that stuff, a therapist.
No, yeah,
Like
for
there's
sure.
like podcast is great, a book is great. I'm not want to knock on those things, but they don't ask you questions. They
Right.
don't ask you questions, and you need someone to literally work through your brain with you. And I think for me going to therapy, because I work out regularly, when I started going to therapy, I just treated it like the gym. Like I was like,
Mhm.
well, I go to the gym to take care of my body. I have to take care of my brain. And if
Right.
you start to take care of your brain, but
That's a good
don't
way
view
of
it
looking
like,
at it.
yeah, don't view it like you're crazy. Don't view it like you have problems. Like, don't think, like, literally think your physical self is something you need to maintain and take care of. And you're one that, you eat great. You've lost a lot of weight over your life. You've taken care of yourself. The brain is just that with fucking emotion, right?
Right.
Like if you work your biceps out, they're not sad. Like they're not, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
your biceps don't have like feelings, but they need to be worked
And
out
I
if you
mean,
want to get them bigger.
people don't know this about me, but widely, like my friends know, and I don't know if you know, but like when I was 17, like my first half of my senior year, my parents like sent me away to like a crazy like high level like wilderness therapy program where like I hiked out in the woods and I got my ass kicked,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
hiking, and then like we would have group therapy sessions by the fire, but it was basically like condensed, like it was like probably the therapy you went to over the how where the progress you
yeah,
made within a couple years of like going once or twice a week. It was like that was like smashed into like a fucking 5-hour energy shot or something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
some
yeah,
little
yeah,
quick thing that I did in like 7 months or something, where it was just like hardcore. And then I think that helped me a lot. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
and then I
yeah,
kind of took from that as a foundation to grow up on, because they were
yeah,
like, this kid's turning 18 soon, and if he continues this,
yeah,
he's gonna be a piece of shit. We gotta hit him with the concentrated therapy. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And it worked out
yeah,
really good
yeah,
for me. You know what I mean? So I would not be
yeah,
the person
yeah,
I am today if it wasn't for that. So I just kind of took all
right.
mine in like a single dose.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
and I
for
could
sure,
still
for
there's
sure.
still probably some therapy that I could use. You know what I mean? I'm sure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um,
But I think you bring up a good point though, but it's a physical action to fix the stuff that you can't see physically.
right,
Like you did the kind of that boot camp vibe that really helped with what was going on in your psyche. And that's, I think, the thing that, especially now in like the digital age when everything's on our phones and stuff, right? Like it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, I'm working on myself. I'm listening to a podcast.
a lot of
It's
people are
like
like,
that.
I'm working on
Yeah, that's
myself because I posted about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that
it's like
kind of stuff
false affirmations of progress. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, dude. Yeah,
it's there. You
yeah.
see those people that like, everything that they're posting is like, I'm working on myself. It's like, are you, or are you just posting about it? You know what I mean? Which,
Yep.
I don't know.
Most of the time, some of that stuff, like I said, all that stuff is not necessarily bad, right?
No,
Like
no.
there's
And
it's more that people, we look at that stuff as like that's the work, when the work is work, dude. Like it's hard. It's like
it's tears and
examining
shit.
yourself. Yeah, it's
lots.
examining yourself in third person and trying to look at yourself objectively, because
I get
that's
high and
really
do that every
that's
night.
difficult.
Like not even joking. I'll get high and just sit there every night and be like, am I a piece of shit for that thing I said in '08 when I was bullying that kid when I was when I was, you know what I mean? Like I'll remember like rude shit I said to people, you know what I mean? And like when in '08, you know what I mean? Or like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and be like, fuck, like, you know what I mean? So I get too stoned every night and break myself down, but not everybody does that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm constantly looking at.
Weed will do that.
Oh yeah.
Weed will do that for sure. Weed will do that for sure. But I think that I think that how I am now, and I'm definitely not a master at it by any means, but I just try to remember, like, if I really do get super frustrated or worked up about something, like I have to ask myself, like, who is losing? And I think because I grew up making things very black and white, that really made sense in my head. Which not everything, you shouldn't look at everything as win or lose, but in my mind, I'm like,
if you ain't first, you're last.
Right. If I'm giving up time and energy and emotion for something that's really not in my control, I feel like just not, I don't know. It's not beneficial. And then if you look at, dude, if you really want to get deeper, if you look at like the fucking health risks of heart attacks and high blood pressure and being, these supercharged dudes who are pissed off all the time. Like these are the guys, when you're 50, 55, you have a fucking problem with your blood pressure and you have a heart attack.
You have like gray hair and you look like shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I think that it's just, to boil it down, is choosing to love before you choose to judge. And I grew up judging first, and switching that really made all the difference. Like trying to understand people before I judge their situation,
Yeah. And I've been working on that too, just because I've had some like really shitty days recently. You know what I mean? Where it's like, my life is great. It's, I have a lot to be grateful for. And so my problems are generally first world problems, but they're my problems nonetheless. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
But at the same time, I've had some like bad days recently, and then like a stranger like treated me like shit. You know what I mean? Like just what kind of like was fuck you, like a guy on the street. And it's like, man, he doesn't know like how beaten down I feel today. Like he doesn't know how my day is going, and like that just did not help. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I don't want to be that guy ever to somebody else. Well, and so when you have one of those moments like that, like even if you're like fucking behind someone in traffic or something stupid, and you're like, fuck you, fuck this guy or whatever, it's like, you just don't know what people are going through. You know what I mean? And that's something that's been told. That's something that's been told to me by my grandma and my mom and my uncle like a million times when I was growing up. And I was like, whatever, fuck what they're going through, because I'm a young kid or whatever. But then you grow up and you're having a rough time one day, and somebody doesn't, really give a shit about it. And then you're like, man, like this fucker doesn't even know what I'm dealing with today. You know what I mean? And then that's that. And then you're like, well, maybe you never know what somebody's going through. So you got to kind of be more aware. I guess maybe not aware, but like just open-minded to what people are going through. And understanding is just the word of the day. You know what I mean? That'd be the word probably. But how do you maintain like, I feel like aren't you that guy like in your group of friends where it's like people are always like, Frank, I'm having a hard time. Like it's like, do people unload on you a lot, like, and look to you for, advice? Because I know you're a mentor type guy. You've mentored, Jared kind of, and some other younger people, and you kind of surround yourself with younger folks too, right? A little bit, a couple years younger than you guys generally, and so it's just
usually I'm the oldest.
Yeah, because you're a couple years older than me. I'm 31 now, right? Or how old are you?
Okay, I'm 31 or I'm 32. Jesus,
okay.
But I'll be
so
33
you're my age
in August.
Right.
I'm like a year older. Yeah, I'll be.
But you have younger friends that are like,
shit.
Oh,
Dude, did you see that?
Yeah. What was that? Everybody saw that.
Did
your chair break?
No, my chair just slid into my vent, and then it moved the vent.
Oh shit!
That was. Gotta splice that as like the ad for the podcast.
No, dude, it's action, romance, desire. You know what I mean? It's everything. But
we're good.
But yeah, I guess do you ever get burnt out? Because I feel like you're the guy where it's like, Frank, I gotta talk to you, man. I'm having a rough time, and it's like I feel like people hit you with those, kind of like I need some advice or whatever. Like you're the guy people turn to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that I don't really get burnt out on that stuff because to me it's like really, I guess, I don't know if flattering is the word, but it makes me feel helpful, like if somebody asks me their opinion or my opinion on something, it makes me feel validated, like it's like, oh damn, this person really cares. But I think there's people that I confide in on my end. I have like people like my dad is one for me who's like probably the only person that I'd use the term like role model or mentor would like in all earnest would probably be my dad. Like there's people that I'll work through things with my end so that like if my friends do have stuff they want to talk about, like my cup is like full enough where I can actually like help them through that stuff. But I think like another part of that too is what kind of helps with that is some good boundaries. Like if there's some people in my life who have just, everything is all, they've always got something.
It's always a problem. Yeah.
Always something.
I know those kinds.
There's times where you kind of have to say like, okay, this is as far as I can go with you. You know what I mean? Like this is as far as I can keep giving you advice. But what happens is a lot of people, they like to listen, but they don't like to do. So if you give somebody advice, they'll tell you
that's some real shit.
You're so right, and then they don't do it because
they're not hearing you.
Oh, and most people just want to talk. You know what I mean? Like most people really what they're doing, they're not asking for advice, they're decompressing. Right? So if someone's decompressing with you, you can give them a lot of advice, but you have to remember from your end as the advice giver, like may not take this advice. So like if I think that's part of it of like just make sure that you're really upfront and honest with people. And me, like I don't know, I think this probably goes back to the homeschooling thing and coming into school and not having any friends. Like my mom always used to say one thing that I always took from her. She'd always say, if you're ever like feeling like you don't have any friends, she'd say look for the lonely ones. So like to me, I was taught at a young age that everybody gets included, no matter what social circle they're in, no matter what their likes are or their dislikes, everybody gets included. You look for the person who's lonely, right? Like you look for the lonely one. And I think that I've kind of kept that in my mind. That's because huge. I've always had a pretty big group of friends in any city that I live in. And it's just to me like
you attract, your energy is good. You know what I mean?
But thanks, man. But I feel like I just invite everyone because I would want to be invited.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I see so many people who like they have a lot of compartmentalized friends. Like you have like, okay, these are my party friends. These are my friends I play video games with. These are my friends that I go to the clubs with, but I don't really go to like the dive bars with them. Like to me, sync that shit up. Like who cares? Like invite everybody. If you're going out, you should be texting
groups.
Mesh.
Yeah.
Mesh. It'll make your life a lot more interesting. It'll make their lives a lot more interesting, and then it creates a better community of people. Like our group in Seattle that you met, a lot of those people have nothing to do with each other. Right. There's a few people that there's people that I know. Well, they mesh.
That was wild.
what are we all looking for? We're all looking for community.
A
We're all
good
looking
time.
for, yeah, we're all looking for community and love and friends. And I think that so many times there's so many people who are like, won't invite certain people to certain things. And in my opinion, that's just counterproductive to creating a healthy friend group, because whoever, say you're somebody, let's say, metal is a great example. Like, invite your friends who don't listen to metal, like
Right.
tell them to come to a show, like, and maybe they will, maybe they won't, but like,
Right.
don't compartmentalize. Like I used to do that a
Like
lot
they're a
when I
hip
was
hop
younger.
person, or they're
Yeah,
a folk metal person. Like
yeah,
they
dude.
wouldn't want to take it to the show. Yeah, I've always been good about that, for sure.
Yeah. You think that, and I think that kind of goes into the fact that, people will ask me for advice and stuff, or people will like get my opinion on things, because that's what the healthiest version of friendship is that we come to each other with stuff.
Right.
And if you include everybody, then everybody's comfortable
And,
talking to each
and
other.
also, what's this boring idea that like there's like why would you want a group of friends that all like and do this and think the same shit?
I
You know what I
know,
mean?
I
Like, to
know,
me,
dude. I
that
know.
sounds so
I
boring.
know.
You
I
want your
know.
friend group to be like North Korea or some shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
just like
it's
an
boring.
indoctrinated echo chamber version of your.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's a harsh reference, but you know what I mean? It's like you want you want it to be
Oh no.
uniform. You want it to be
Yep.
it's like some, and you see some groups of friends like that have no not diversity in the cultural sense, but like just diversity in thinking
Everybody's the same
or
person.
interests. Yeah, you see a lot of people
Yeah.
that blend together. And you know what? I think, and I've always said this, and you can either agree or disagree, but like metal is a great example of this, because people use metal music and like the whole scene and going to shows and being in bands as a common denominator to being friends. And
Yes.
that is not a common denominator. I'm sorry,
Yep.
but the
It's
fact that
not.
you and I like the same band is
Does not
so
mean we're gonna be
that does
friends.
not mean that we're going to be friends. The fact that we like the
Right.
same music is even less likely that we're going to be friends. You know what I mean? So
Dude,
it's like,
yeah,
so
yeah,
you
for
get those
sure.
guys that are like, "Hey man, like you like metal, want to come over?" And I'm like, "I don't know." You know what I mean?
Yep,
Like
yep, yep.
like,
Yeah,
you know what I
dude, no,
mean?
I
And it's
totally
like,
agree.
and
I
you kind of
totally
have
agree.
to, you as especially like a young dude playing in bands or whatever. I've had to sift through so many of these dudes. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
Specifically, I mean chicks too, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yep,
like mainly like dudes and bands and other metal dudes that go to shows where it's like at the show, maybe there's a common denominator at the show, right? You know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's like outside of this arena, I don't know that we're the best fit for each other. We don't know that
yeah,
just based
yeah,
off of
yeah.
whether or not you like Job for a
Same
Cowboy.
band.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like, or
right,
whatever.
right.
And so what's
Sure.
tough is that I think a lot of people, click up and they use those types of interests to create groups of friends. And then later on, you're hanging out with these people and you're like, I don't fucking like this guy. You know what I mean? Or I
Yeah,
don't get
yeah.
along with these people. But like why are we friends? You know what I mean? And then you have
Right, right.
these friendships that are held together with bubble gum and duct tape over the course of 5-10 years that
Yeah,
maybe you guys should have never been friends in the first place.
right,
You know what I mean?
right. And then those groups, those groups are also, if you notice, they're the hardest to cut into as an outsider, because they're
True.
all set on
That's
their
deep.
common denominator. So they're not including anyone.
So good luck
They
being
just
a
are like,
country music fan and getting into a group
right,
of
right.
people that listen to,
Yeah,
metalcore shit.
yeah, dude. So I think yeah, you have to find people who are different, and invite them places. And if somebody is like, in my mind, I always think like, if I have a friend that's in the vicinity of me, I know would definitely want to chill. If they see me out on Instagram and I didn't hit them up, like, me, that's like shitty. Like, I
Right.
try to think about like, okay, who's available tonight? Who can I hit up? Because most of us are just sitting at home.
Right.
But I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that when you only when you only look at like the stuff that's, you're like, oh, I'm only gonna chill with this type of person, or I'm only gonna chill with
And I think
this
people
group of
do it
kids.
subconsciously too. I don't think people are always. People people think that's what they're supposed to do.
Subconsciously.
They're just like, how do I find friends? I look for people that like the same shit. You know what I mean, or whatever. But I get along with people that are different than me. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah.
Which actually, sure. And then it gets me to another thing on this list I want to get to is like, so you have a lot of friends that don't necessarily agree with you on everything, kind of like what we've been talking about. Don't like all the same shit. You're raised a pretty religious dude. You're a Christian dude, right? Like you go to church and shit. Yeah. And you have church groups and stuff. And not very metal, dude. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But no, man, but here's
Taste the Day that.
I know. Hey, throwback. No, but seriously though, what I love to talk to somebody like you about this because there's different kinds of religious folks out there. You know what I mean? Where it's like and everybody should know this. If you don't know this by now, you're just trying to be edgy. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of different types of religious people out there, and you're one of the few I've met personally in the general metal scene or whatever that I've met, that you don't like judge people. You're so chill about it. You wouldn't even know unless you knew that it's like a big thing to you, right? And so I guess one thing it's like how do you not you, but like how does a person maintain, because there's a lot of people out there, and I think this is important right now, and this is the reason I wanted to bring it up and talk to you about it, because with all the shit going on right now, whether it's fucking vaccine, COVID shit, or it's political fucking news, whatever's on the news, they're trying to divide us every day. You know what I mean? And this is a common topic that a lot of people talk about, but I think it should be talked about more, like how you can coexist with people that, obviously there's subjects that are not questionable, like racism and hateful stuff like that, which there's no hearing the other side of that. You know what I mean? But it's like, as far as stuff like religion or things that can be, things that people can have opinions on, it's like, I think a lot of people are quick to delete their friends and cut off their friends and delete me if you think this such and such. You know what I mean? And it's like, and that's just shit that I just don't remember. I just don't remember ever being that way, and so I try not to be that way. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I end up cutting people out of my life who act like that. Like if you want to get cut out, of my life, cut other people out for believing different shit than you. You know what I mean? Because I'm open-minded to shit. You and I disagree on some stuff. I'm not a religious person. We've disagreed on this and that, and nothing crazy, but it's like, I feel like you are so good at like just like, oh, we disagree on that, don't care, moving on. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I guess I just wanted to bring that up. You know what I mean? And because you're somebody I feel like everybody should be, more like. You're not an opinionated dude. You've got things that you feel strongly about, and you're a religious guy, and to me it's something that's important right now, that people need to figure out how they can not be so quick to like cut people off because they don't just agree with what other people say.
I think like one thing I think that I'll say on the Christian part of it too is like, the thing about, for me and Christianity and believing in Jesus, like me, I really look at the way, like if you're going to come from a biblical standpoint, like I look at the way he lived more than the rules, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that, and this is a whole different topic, but a lot of Christians see things a lot different than they did in the 90s, right? Like Christians used to think if you drank alcohol, you're going straight to hell. There's thousands of churches who are like, no, that's not a thing.
Sure.
Religion gets twisted a lot, because a lot of times we put religion into the areas of our life that will fix, or we think will fix things, or we think will make us look better. A lot of Christians, what they do is they like to talk about the things they don't do, because that sounds cooler and it sounds a little more like, look at how good I am, rather than the things they do for people. If
Right.
that makes sense. Like
Because Christianity can be going to church groups and shit in each little community sometimes can be like a dick measuring contest of like how fucking good I'm such a good person, bro.
For sure,
it's like Chad's flexing how fucking good of a dude they are.
Yeah, and there's whole
your TikTok, like, by the way, which is gonna Grumpy. Will you find? I have a mod named Grumpy on here. Grumpy, she's much more than that. She's a friend too. But Grumpy, will you try to find Frankie's TikTok and link that too, because that is fucking hilarious. He's got a lot of good like church Chad jokes on there that are just like perfect.
There's entire accounts dedicated to that stuff.
Right.
But for me personally, what I try to do is, in the Bible, Jesus said his greatest commandment, if like basically in the Bible, the disciples ask him, if we take away anything from your teaching, what's the biggest thing? And he said, love the Lord and love your neighbor as yourself. I think that is so powerful, that's the one thing out of the mouth. If you're a Christian, you believe Jesus is God. When they're like, hey man, if we boil everything down, we get rid of all the noise, what should we do? I think that's what a lot of people miss, is that your job on earth is to love people, right? So like if you're going out of your way to try and make yourself look better or put people down based on if they don't believe in stuff, like, to me, all I can do is live and love people. And if that interests you, I mean, it interests you. If it doesn't interest you, it doesn't interest you. You know what I mean? Like, my job is to love people. And if that's what makes somebody interested in that stuff, great. If not, no one's ever going to complain because you're kind. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's ever going to complain.
Some people take advantage of that, though.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But where they're like, I'm just going to be the nicest person ever. And like, I'm going to get away with whatever I want. You see people like these, like, you know, you see some like there's church Karens out there that they're like the fake nice Christians that that they're only like trying to be nice to get religious points, whether it's to get to heaven or to whatever. And they kind of take advantage of that. Like, you can't hate somebody for being nice. So it's like, but you can be nice maliciously.
Yes. And you can, I mean, I've been going to church most of my life, and a lot of times now I'm a little more callous to that stuff. Like I can basically like kind of sift through some of that a little bit easier. Like I'm like, yeah, this person's not really genuine. But I think the overarching thing though, and especially right now, is if somebody doesn't agree with you, is not your job to change their opinion. Your job is to live in the truth that you believe in.
Right.
And if they start to agree with it, great. If they, you know, completely like, dude, that's bullshit, I don't think that, then okay, fine. Right. Like and that goes into a lot of discussion of what's hot right now, right? Like it's we're just yelling at each other. Nothing is gonna nothing is gonna change if all we're doing is yelling at each other. There has to be a better way. Like there has to be a better way. And most of that comes with, how do you live? Like I think when people have to tell you how they are all the time, they're usually not that person. The people who are really kind to people are just kind, you know, or they're
too busy out there fucking being class acts, dude.
right. And that's what I'm saying. Like
they don't have time to flex.
And I don't think that just don't think that I've seen Christians who will come at non-Christians in a really aggressive way. I think that there's a lot of toxicity in the church. I think like there's a lot of racism in the church. I think there's a lot of, you know, a lot of shit that goes on, right? But I think that the bigger thing is like, stick to what our message is. We're here to love people and love Jesus. And if you believe in Jesus, then a lot of that loving and stuff just happens a little more naturally. Like I always find, for me, if I'm trying not to do something, again, this is just from a Christian perspective. For me, if I'm trying to like, I want to cut back on this, it's usually not because I think it's like a quote unquote sin. I think it's more like, is that beneficial for my life? Like, does that actually make sense? Like, I think a lot about religion and Christianity as very similar to like a father and son relationship, which is all over the Bible.
It's like golden rules values for you.
Yeah. Like for me, it's like, okay, is it gonna benefit my life if I'm fucking I love to party, but if I'm partying every night, is that gonna be good for me? Probably not,
Probably
because
not.
I'm gonna slow down at work. My
Are
health's
you
gonna go
doing it
down.
for
Like,
Jesus? No.
well, it's to me, it's like I look at the things that the things that I should or shouldn't do more as like what's going to make sense for me, and a lot of that stuff comes from like a lot of the teachings that Jesus had were things that make a lot of sense. Don't steal, don't cheat on your wife,
Right.
like, you know what I mean, like shit that's like it's not as a lot of people, I think, just because of what religion has done in the world, and especially Western Christianity has done,
Mm-hmm.
like I think that a lot of what it's done is made people hate Christianity, when real Christianity is very rooted in I don't
Right.
want to say real or unreal, but loving Christianity is very rooted in how you treat people, how you love people.
Sure.
Like, are you including people?
I would
Like,
even argue that that's new school Christianity. Like it's
right,
almost
right.
been
Well,
it's almost been reduced
yeah,
from like all the Bible shit and like boiled down to just fucking treat people good. Don't drink too much. Don't be a piece of shit. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
And there's
But
things that there's a whole other topic too, that a lot of churches and Christians and stuff are deconstructing a lot of this stuff, where they look at some of the things that we've been doing as Christians, and they're like, "Ooh, that's not even in the Bible." You know what I mean? Like,
right.
where did that even come from? So I think there's good in that sense. Like, a lot of Christians are kind of waking up to that, I think, and some aren't, and some are in the more old school ways and stuff. But I think like I'll give you an example. Like, Christians did it to themselves, right? They did it to themselves. I dated a girl once who was non-Christian, and I told her I was Christian, and first thing she says to me, she's like, "Oh, so do you hate gay people?" I'm like, "What? No." I'm like,
Right.
"No." But Christians did that to themselves.
Right.
They made that stigma.
Absolutely.
So, so it's up to people who are leading with love, showing Jesus' love. It's up to our love to try, or it's up to us to try and change that viewpoint, try and
Right.
change that viewpoint of like, we're not here to judge you, we're not here to condemn you. And that for me, I think, has kind of helped me mesh with people who aren't Christian, because a lot of times, like I said, when I share my faith with people or talk about it, people kind of assume the worst, and
Yeah.
I don't ever blame them for that. I don't ever say like, "Oh, come on, dude," like,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I get it,
I think at this
because
point though, we're getting to a point where people need to be more it's obvious that most Christians, I feel like nowadays, don't subscribe to those old world kind of, you know what I mean? Especially
sure.
people our age. Come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right,
You
right.
know,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
maybe
you're
in
not gonna
some
find
rural
many.
county somewhere.
Yeah,
But
you're not gonna find many Christian people who are 20s to 30s who don't drink or something. That's a
who
lot less
don't
common
drink,
than it used to be.
who discriminate against gay people, who you know what I mean? Like, there's a list of bad
Oh,
shit.
vape.
Yeah, yeah, sick
Don't
clouds,
fucking
dude.
don't fucking smoke nicotine.
Jesus would approve of those clouds, brother. Trust me. No.
Yeah, dude.
Um,
But so that's just kind of that's how I try to live now, and I try to make sure that I'm grounded in my own, my own personal side of it, right? Like, I try to spend time in the Bible, read, journal, that kind of stuff. So
mhm.
it's really just more, we overcomplicate how simple of a message it is, and yeah, that's as far as
For sure.
say. I'd say that's kind of where I'm
But
at.
you don't let it you don't let people, who don't follow the same,
Oh, because
kind of comes back to what we were saying about not having groups of the friends that believe the same shit and do the same shit and like the same shit. It's like you're really good, I feel like, at having friends that have different beliefs
yeah, dude,
and I think that's really
not my
important right now.
job.
I guess just
It's
to
not my
cap that
yeah.
subject off, it's like that's that right now, just as a general rule of how to live your life, is super important, because I feel like people get on Facebook and they get on there with an opinion, and their thumbs start going off, and they're fucking half drunk, and they're deleting their friends over the dumbest of things, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it's like, we really got to come together right now and just learn to look past people's differences and opinions on shit. Just
Yeah,
generally
dude.
speaking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah, no,
obviously,
I
there's
agree.
things like racism and sexism and homophobia and shit that we can't. Where there is no there is no opinion about that. You got to be accepting
Yeah.
and love everybody. But other than that, you know, with all the political nonsense that goes on, and there's always just two sides, and it just feels like, you know, it's just everything is so down the middle, and people are out here, people are out there, you know, cutting off ties with their Aunt Lisa. Because
right.
You know what I mean? Because
right.
she likes this and that politically or whatever, and it's like, just get, you know, just love your Aunt Lisa.
I know.
Just let her be.
What
you know what I mean?
I know. What
be.
am I gonna like? My you know, I'm not on my end. I'm not a Trump guy, and my grandpa is. What am I gonna fucking hate my grandpa? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, what are you gonna change your grandpa's mind?
No, he's
are you gonna tell your
92.
grandpa some thought-provoking stuff that's really gonna change his mind? You know.
And no argument on Facebook has ever changed anything in the world.
No,
nothing.
Being an asshole to people has never changed anything either. By the way,
true.
You know what I mean? You're never gonna get your point across being an asshole, which is what a lot of people are doing out there. They're being an asshole trying to get their point across, and that just is never gonna work. Be a better salesman. Sell your point better. You got to be nice. You know what I mean? If you're gonna try to get a point across to somebody. But hey, let's talk about some fucking metal. We just talked for an hour already about fucking how to be an awesome person, because that's what you are, which is cool. And I feel like we could talk more about that. But I want to get into your metalcore credentials here, because you were in a band called Monsters, and it's a very special band to a niche demographic of people that listen to metal. At that time, you had to be there. You had to fucking be there, dude. Yeah, it was great. It was good times, dude. And so I guess just, you know, when did you get into music stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
like when did that journey start for you?
Good. So that started in high school.
Was that before or after Tough Guy Frank, or was it right in between? Was it in the?
That was right. It leaned into Tough Guy Frank.
Okay.
It was like tough Guy Frank, and then just like, oh, I can just go to shows and get in fights, and I can just fight whoever I want.
Get out of jail. Fun. Get out of jail free card, basically. Yeah. For beating ass.
My music background started when I was in high school. My older brother introduced me to like hardcore and metalcore and stuff. I remember I went to see one of the first shows I ever saw was As I Lay Dying, Every Time I Die. If anybody remembers the band Scarlet, they were on Ferret Records. Super sick. I still listen to them, but they played a show on the floor of a bowling alley. So to give you perspective on how far it goes back, I was probably 14, 15. My older brother took me to a show, and I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, I would just fell in love with it right away. I grew up prior to that. The first bands I listened to were like Slipknot, Metallica, Mudvayne, System of a Down, like a lot of new metal. And then that, you know, is obviously like your gateway drug into metalcore and hardcore and shit. And so basically what happened then, my older brother was in a band. My older brother played guitar, and he was in a band. They were called Emergency Child, like a melodic, like hardcore band. And they,
I'm putting up a picture of you in the band here.
Oh yeah, yeah, please. So
look at that motherfucker, hard as fuck, dude. Look at that guy.
Where do I can't see
if you have the Twitch stream pulled up, it's it's a couple minutes delayed back, but let's look at that, dude. That's Tough Guy Frank right there, huh?
Yeah, look at those fucking.
Look at that. You have a dermal in? What is that? Is that a dermal?
I 100%.
You did not,
dude. I did
not have a dermal.
I can credit that to.
Lit.
So I can credit that, and he knows that I credit it to him. But Chad Rulig from For the Fallen Dreams is the first guy that I saw.
Currently in the band Legend, right?
Legend, yeah. And we used to. You
kind of look like him. It could just be my bald profiling.
Oh, so that's what I was gonna say. We had we would always get told that we looked like each other even before our band started playing together.
Mm-hmm.
But we would get told, like, I'd play a show and then someone would be like, oh, you look like the guy from For the Fallen Dreams. And then he was having the same thing happen when Monsters was kind of getting hyped. He was having people be like, oh, you look like that singer from that Monsters band. And then we ended up touring with them, and that's how we became friends. but he had a dermal, and I was like, I gotta get a dermal, man. I gotta get a dermal. So I was a little fanboy for Chad, but
hell yeah, Chad's
but
awesome.
yeah, dude. So we played. So my older brother was in a band, and then I really wanted to be in a band, but I have zero musical talent. I cannot play an instrument to save my life. I tried to learn guitar. I got bored, couldn't do it. But my younger brother, Anthony, the one right below me, he was like a child prodigy at guitar. So he started learning guitar from my brother, and he started picking it up really, really well. And then he was 11 at the time. So then what happened was I was like, dude, I want to make a band. Anthony's going to play guitar, and I'll find us the other members. So my brother Anthony was 11 years old, and I was probably 14 or 15, and we started a band called The Dial. And
The Dial.
I got a few of my other friends who didn't know how to play instruments, just to be clear. Like, nobody knew how to play an instrument, but they were like, I'll play guitar. And my buddy was like, I'll play drums. No one knew what was going on except my brother Anthony. So, like, he's like this child psycho, right? So the first show we played, he was fucking 11 years old, dude. So like we were literally playing at like a civic center, and everybody is like, hey, is this for real? Because like an 11-year-old is like, this big,
right?
You know,
That's
like
your brother.
He's up. Yeah, he's
okay.
on stage. He's on stage.
Is he still
with
doing
us.
music now or no?
Yeah, he's doing music now. He's
Okay.
married and just had his first kid, so he does it kind of as a hobby. But we did The Dial, and then slowly The Dial started like actually picking up speed because my brother was really good at writing. So he was getting better and better. We were playing more shows, and then locally, we started getting a pretty decent following, where we'd play a show at like a VFW hall, and 200 to 300 kids would come out. And then the Dial started growing popularity, and then we did that all through high school. And then right at the end of high school, we broke it up because the kids who were in the band with us were going to school. So the other guys were going to school, but I was like doing vocals at the time, and I was like, I don't want to go to school. I want to tour. Like, I want to be in a band. Like, this is so sick, like I loved playing shows.
Right.
So then what happened is, the Dial broke up, and then me, a couple other people, some people will definitely know this band, but there was another band that played a lot of shows with us called Jerome.
I remember Jerome.
Yeah, which is also claim to fame in the Lake County scene. And Jerome and us would play all the time together. Jerome had a lot of hype, but same kind of thing. Most of their members went to school. So me and the guitarist of Jerome at the end of high school were like, hey man, he went to a different high school, but he was like, we both talked and we're like, let's make a band and like see if we can do the touring thing. Like, let's just try it.
Mm-hmm.
And we grew up in the same area. Our circle of friends was my best friend still to this day played drums for Oceano at the time.
What's his name?
Our
again?
whole Danny Turchin. That's
Okay.
my basically like a brother to me, and he was in Oceano. It was really, I mean, Chicago was really fortunate, man. I mean, we had.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me?
Like we had.
Isn't Born of Osiris from there?
Yeah, so all those
Veil.
bands. Yeah, we were all local together. Like we were all playing, like Veil, Born of Osiris, all those bands played with the Dial all the time. Like we were like in that local scene, and then those bands started blowing up and that kind of stuff. So it was like, for me, like I was like, dude, I want to do what they're doing, because these were people that I knew really well, and they were saying like, okay, here's how we did it. We did this, So I got a lot of guidance from people who were in much more successful bands. So then me and the guitarist from Jerome, we started Monsters. And then our first original lineup was me, him, other guitarist of Jerome, and then we played. Our drummer was, if anybody remembers, Rooks, or the band
if
Rooks.
you don't remember Rooks, like
yeah,
you weren't there. You had to be there.
You weren't there. Yeah, you weren't
there. That was hard as fuck.
Rooks was that's my buddy Delos, and he played drums for us in the first iteration of the band. Then we started putting out songs, and all of us were like, look, we're going to work part-time jobs. Nobody's going to go to school. We're all going to try and do this shit like for real. So we started doing that. We had a few different lineup changes. Delis from Rooks actually went out to go to school, so he left the band. We got in this kid who was from
school is a motherfucker, brother. It'll take your bandmates away from you.
Take him right away. But we got this kid who played drums. He wasn't in any band. He played in a couple local bands, but he hit us up. He was like, "Hey man," it's some funniest shit. Like he literally sent us a MySpace message back when MySpace was huge. He sent us a MySpace message. It was like, "Hey, I saw you guys need a drummer. Love what you guys are doing. I want to be your drummer." Like just straight up. And he sent us these YouTube videos. In the video of him just like slaying our songs, like just like fucking annihilating them.
So he basically said, "Hey, just letting you know, I'm your drummer now." And
pretty much.
He was modest about it, but he was basically like, "I'm gonna go ahead and be the drummer."
Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. So he hit us up, and then we started practicing with him and getting shit going. And then we bought a van, we bought a trailer, we were doing the whole thing. And then we were playing shows all the time. And then we kind of had like a solidified lineup of like who was going to be in the band, who was all in. We started, doing a bunch of, festivals. We'd open festivals. I was networking with every person that I knew. We got put on a bunch of opening slots because we were close with the guys in Vail. We were close with the guys in Boo. We were, all these things where we were getting all this stuff. Then really everything changed when this goes back to the Frank Palmieri conversation. Frank Palmieri, the singer of Amir, found our band on MySpace, and he hit me up and was like, "I want to manage you guys."
Right.
So he was like, we're fucking 19, 20, and he's in the biggest fucking metalcore band or deathcore, whatever you want to call it. It was
on fire. Still hot.
On fire.
Still kills it.
Still hot, yeah. Still kills it. And he hit us up and he was like, "I want to manage you guys." And then we were like, "Yeah, great." And then he's like, "And also, I'm starting a small label.
I remember
I want to sign you guys."
Silent Prophet or Prophet something.
False Prophet Records.
I don't know how I remember that.
False Prophet Records. So he started that. But what he did for us in the beginning, the first thing that really changed the game for us and like put us on the map more nationally was Amir started pumping our shit to people.
Right. So putting it on their MySpace.
They posted like a big bulletin about us and told everybody to follow us. And I remember we shot up like,
bro.
We shot up like thousands of followers in a day and all this stuff. And then Frankie connected us with the guys over at, I think the time it was Pantheon, I think was the agency. He connected us. Yeah, he connected us with a booking agent. We got hooked up with that, and then we started touring. And then the first like full national tour we did an opening slot. This lineup is actually like insane now that I think about it. A headliner was Within the Ruins. If anyone knows,
so
lit. And then direct support was Chelsea Grin.
And this was the tour I met you on.
Yes,
this was the tour I met you and Ben on.
Yes. And I don't remember.
I think Angel Followed With was on that. I want to say they were, or maybe American Me.
Oh, no.
American Me might have been on there.
American Me did some of the dates. Yeah, American Me did some of the dates, not all of them. The other band was Those Who Lie Beneath.
Oh, fire.
Which is
Jamie
Hankel's band.
I want to get him on here to talk about just like his whole story, because he's goated, triple platinum.
He's so
psycho. I literally dude. I cried inside a little bit when he hit me up. He hit us up personally to have us on these I Declare War shows.
Yeah.
And so it was like, dude, say less. You know what I mean? I was just like, bro, let's go.
Yeah. So that was the first
tight. That's such a fat lineup. If that lineup happened right now, come on, like a retro lineup.
And back then too, a lot of these bands were not as big as they are now. Like Chelsea Grin was blowing up, but not as big as they were in
their infant stage.
And then I loved Those Who Lie Beneath. I loved that band. That shit was so heavy. Like seeing them live, like
still is.
They were such
underappreciated
strong musicians.
Underappreciated.
Well, they're just so goddamn good at their instruments, man.
Right.
Like watching them play was like nauseating. And they're on this like total breakdown tour, you
And
know, like
Jamie
it's like,
just looked like he was actually nuts. Like he
yeah, yeah,
like was a serial killer. Like he would just like
yeah,
he would like get his eyes
yeah,
going. He still does that shit, but it's just like he was like even had even more energy and was like young and just like he looked insane on
yeah,
stage. And
dude.
I'll never forget that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was amazing. And then it was so cool watching them play because like it would every one of the bands was such a mosh band, you know? Like we
Right.
were, you know, we were not playing
Yeah.
as shreddy of stuff as they were playing.
You guys were a jump band, a jumpier
Yeah,
band,
so right. So you'd
hardcore
see
dancer
like,
band.
yeah, dude. So you'd see us play, and then I think we opened that tour. And then that was our first first full length, full US tour. Then we toured for about 3.5 years or so. We did a couple other big ones. We did an Oceano headliner, was us, Oceano, In the Midst of Lions,
Oh, I
Attila
forgot about In the Midst
on
of
the
Lions. They're a
yeah,
Christian
Attila was
band,
on
right?
I don't think they're a band anymore,
I
but
think
they
they
were.
were. Yeah, they were a Christian band,
Yeah,
and
they
they
were.
fucking cracked, dude. They slapped hard.
They were heavy. So we did some touring with them. Attila co-headlined that one. We did a co-headliner with Legend. We did a
You guys
couple
were
for the
just in
Fallen
the
Dreams
mix.
tours. Yeah,
You were
yeah.
born into the mix.
We were definitely born in the mix, and then we put a full length out, which was actually really cool because we got to do our full length with Justin. Actually, rest in peace. Justin passed a couple years ago.
Oh, Justin.
From After the Burial.
Yeah, from After the Burial. What's his last name again? Can't think off the top of my head right now. It's burning a hole in my head right now. I can't think of it.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I forget his last name.
Somebody in the chat will pull it up.
But he
why can't I remember that right now? So dumb. But yeah, Justin is a literal god amongst
Justin Lowe.
Justin Lowe. Yeah, Justin Lowe. Yeah. Rest
Yeah.
in peace, man.
So he recorded our full length that we put out on False Prophet Records, which was a cool experience because that was like, you know, at the time we were like, dude, this is fucking After the Burial, you know, like,
Right.
and I remember,
and they're not a Chicago band, but they might as well be, right? Because Twin Cities is not far.
Yeah. And I remember we played this show where like we met him to like talk shit over, but the show was us supporting them, direct support in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, dude, it was like the craziest experience. It was like 4 locals and then us 2. So we drove out to Minnesota for one day, and then we did the trip in a day, and the show had like fucking, you know,
how many hour drive is that? Like 6 hours or more? 10?
7, yeah, 7. I think
it's like us
7
going
and
to
a half.
Spokane, I think, kind of.
Yeah, it's about the same. But so then we tracked full length with him. We did, we pretty much, we toured Canada. We did a Canadian tour with, if anybody remembers, Blind Witness. They were like a Canadian metalcore band.
They had that sick music video. Like they were one of the first guys to do a music video in like in an old farmhouse. They had like this music video, and like the old like abandoned farmhouse looks like it's gonna fall over, and he's like swinging that microphone. I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
that was like, and they were like a party band, like Attila. Like Attila was like creating this little genre of let's get drunk bands that like wrote breakdowns. And but Attila just kind of was the only one like that really persevered.
They were definitely the top one. Like, dude, I remember we played Canada, and I got fucking pink eye on that tour because
somebody farted on your pillow.
Oh, dude. So I at the time was straight edge, so I didn't drink or anything. So I would literally, like, I was always first one to bed, all this stuff. But this is actually like so funny. So like, you know, from touring, like how tired you can get, you know, you're just like on zero sleep, you're playing shows. So like, I remember the guy who promoted in Canada, he was like the big, you know, promoter out there who'd put on all the shows. He was putting on Despised Icon's last show.
Right.
So like this show, I remember
that tour. I remember that tour.
It's like, yeah, it was like all the Canadian heavy hitters, like Beneath the Massacre, Ion Dissonance.
Yeah.
It was like everybody was supporting
the Plasma Rifle. Remember that band?
Yeah. And then we go to this show because we were in Canada anyway, and the dude was like, "Hey man, I can guest list you guys to the show. You should come out." And I was so tired, and I remember I kind of like felt sick, but I fell asleep in the show. Like there's like like a balcony area we were sitting in, because like they, gave us like all access. So we're like sitting in this balcony area, and I fall asleep on the guardrail.
No.
Like I literally was so tired, like music blaring. We're in the venue. I fall asleep.
There's bodies flying in the mosh pit.
People are losing their shit, and I'm just like exhausted, I was like, at the time I was like, yeah, this is cool. Looking back, I'm like, why the fuck was I sleeping? But it's also because I think that run was like 3.5 weeks or something long, just across Canada. Right. So it was like super long. So I was super tired. So then I fell asleep on the guardrail, and then I wake up the next day just pink eye, dude, just like completely.
Oh, because your eye was like on the guardrail. Gross, dude.
So,
hilarious.
Then we toured.
Nowadays, motherfuckers would cancel a whole tour for that. Someone in our camp got pink eye, and we're gonna have to call the rest of the Canadian tour off.
Dude, think about
Canada just wouldn't let your ass in there anymore.
Real, but we played. So we finished that tour though, and then we kept chugging along, man. And then we had a lot of stuff planned, and then my drummer at the time was the one who'd been with us for a while. He decided he was going to quit. Then that was kind of like, for me, I had been doing the band since like 2008. Now it's like 2000, almost 2012. And I have never been one of those people who like, I knew like what I was like, I knew at the beginning, I'm like, I'm going to take this as far as I can go. And if it goes somewhere great, we'll take it as far, but when it's time to hang it up, I'm going to hang it up. Like I never felt like
you're not like me. You're not an idiot that never gave up on the dream, I'm just
no, dude, because your perseverance is now paid off. Now you're in a
I don't know. It's starting
all the time.
It's starting to.
It's starting to pay off. And dude, who knows?
I'm still having fun. I'm still having fun, which is all that matters. So
right.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And as soon as it stops being fun for me, I will quit right then on that day. When I wake up and I realize that it's not fun. And that day's almost happened to me a couple times. I'm not going to lie and say it's all fucking roses and chocolate. It's been fucking, I wake up and sometimes I'm like, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it's happened where I've almost threw it away, but it's not going to be until I'm not having fun with it anymore. And then I remember how fun it is to go on the road and release music and I think about all my goals and bucket list bands I want to play with and tour with and stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to keep riding. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing that a lot of people don't talk enough about is like, it is absolutely hard work, especially if you're like not a fucking headliner. It's hard work, but if you're not having fun, that's what's going to kill you. And I think honestly, that was kind of my breaking point. And then when our drummer quit for me, that was kind of like, I don't want to do this with anyone else, So then we disbanded, we broke it up, and then we played one closing show, and then we did one reunion show in 2013. We did one like comeback show, which was awesome.
Yeah. I remember the one time we were sitting at your house recently when we were on tour staying with you, and we looked through all those old videos of you.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah,
that was awesome.
The old glory days, man.
Yeah,
the old glory days.
Someday when we just already have so much going on this podcast with like you being not here with me.
Yeah,
but
I know.
I'm gonna try to come to Chicago, and I want to do this again, or have you come out here if I'm still here or whatever, and do this again. And then when we do that, we'll go through some of your old videos and shit. Once we can like pull them up on the screen and rock out to them, because those videos are crazy.
Man.
Those videos are crazy. But so do you want to talk about, without naming any names, on the podcast? Do you want to? Because everything's all good with everybody, but do you want to go into any detail about what happened to Monsters, like on a surface level? You know what I mean? And sure. Just so people, any fans that are going to watch, because you still do have like actually like I think a following of people that are from the Monsters days that have followed you through, all the years, are still your friends on Facebook because they're fans of Monsters, and like maybe they're curious as to what shut the band down kind of thing. I don't know if you guys did you guys ever make a post about it or anything, or I know, but maybe you can tell the story. As much detail as you want or don't want to give out. I don't care, but it's up to you.
I think we definitely do have a lot of people who are still fans. I think we
Well, you
released
got yeah.
our we released our EP on vinyl this past summer.
I should have got one.
Did 300 copies on vinyl. This company did it for us, and all 300 sold out in 60 seconds, which was pretty mind blowing. But
definitely
I think that also comes with, it's weird. I honestly think we got more hype after the band than we did during. Like I think like it's kind of like
it was like the Elvis Presley kind of thing. It's like the
mystique factor, you know, like right. Oh, like how you're saying, like you had to be there kind of thing. Like this was a special thing for a lot of people, and it was really, you know, it was really special to all of us. And I think that after it ended, I think a lot of us were kind of, you know, even in our own band and stuff, we're like, damn, we really had something going for a second. But I think like, you know, not I don't want to go into too much detail, I guess, but like the biggest thing is that when you are in the early stages of a band, you really need every party to be pushing you, basically, right? You need your manager, you need your agent, you need your label, you need a lot of people pushing you, right? Like pushing you to festivals, pushing you to you know, tours and stuff like that. And what had ended up happening, for whatever reason, there was a lot of stuff that basically like we were getting asked to do, but for some reason we weren't getting put on, if that makes sense. Like we were, you know, there was bands that were larger and wanted to take us out on tour, but certain parties involved would say, no, we want you to take out this band, not them, right? And that had kind of happened.
Well, it's all favors in the music industry. It's all weird. Sure, it's all like, take this band out and take my little band out on this tour, and then I'll put your little band on my bigger band's tour. There's a lot of there's a lot of bullshit like that goes on, and that's like how a lot of bands get tours, is because it's relationships with agents, that the agents have big and small bands, and they like work with other agents to like kind of tradesies, like take your big band, take my little band out, and then you know, repay the favor, basically.
Yeah, so we actually this, I won't name names, but we got accidentally sent an email that was not supposed to go to us, and it gave some pretty telling information for us.
It always starts with it's always the accidental email, the accidental CC, BCC situation.
So I think,
what did the email say?
It was a band asking to take us out, verbatimly asking like, hey, this is the band we want as an opener. We were a substantially large band at the time. The email was like, no, you're going to take this band. And the band was like, why? We want to take this band. And they were like, because our focus is on band B. And at that point was like,
damn.
Like I totally get the politics side of stuff. But
well, it might have been a good business decision, but it's not something that you should have seen. It sucks to see that opportunity kind of like fly by.
And this I remember we got that email. I forget what tour we were on, but we were like on the road, broke, exhausted, just fucking shot, and we like saw this email come through, and it was usually that when we'd see that email address, it meant good news. So we were like, oh shit, like, you know, we got an email from blank. And then we pulled it up, and it was that thread. And then it's
basically your agent at the time and the band, right?
Yeah.
On the email, okay.
So we saw that, and then that was like, and we all started being like, what is actually going on, right? Like, do we actually want to do this? Because our story, I mean, from our perspective, a lot of it was, yeah, why aren't you guys on this? Like, we thought you guys were going to be on that. Or like, everyone is asking about you guys. Like, to be really honest and transparent, like I, as a frontman, heard more bands than I can count of like, oh, we asked blank about you guys playing with us, and they didn't, you know. So there was annoying. Yeah, so there was this kind of that side of it where we're like, what are we what are we even doing this for if, the parties that we're involved with are not really supporting us? So then it was a decision where once our drummer was like, okay, I'm done. I'm getting a job. He got a job actually working for his dad's construction company. And he ended up literally making like fucking six figures, like right after the band. So like for him, he's like, I'm fucking out. Like I'm going to go make a life. And then when he did that, knowing what we knew and then seeing kind of that stuff just in person, just based on that accidental email, like seeing that stuff for us was like, all right, we're done. We're done.
Red flags everywhere.
Yeah, we hung it up, and like again, I don't know if I'd even say it was like, I don't want to say it was anything maybe done purposeful. I don't want to say that. I think that it's just business decisions that whatever reason we were gaining hype, but we weren't whatever the hype band, the people we worked with really wanted to push. And now I think after the fact, we see so many, like when we released that vinyl of our EP, like there was people who were like, messaging and saying, this EP was all I listened to in high school, or, these things where it was like, man, it was still, I think now part of my life, that part of my life, I'll never look back on with regret, because it was, if we were able to put out anything that made anyone listen to it, like, dude, if someone literally listened to our music, like to me, like I always think about the bands that I listen to when I'm like lifting, going on a walk, driving somewhere, like the music that I listen to, because I'm like, I'm fucking listening to this because I like it. We got kids doing that for us. In my mind, that's a success. You know what I mean? Like if there was a kid, if there's one kid who's like, hey man, I jam your EP all the time. Like to me, that was like, fuck yeah, so
exactly.
It was, to me, I see it as like still a success. I think, it was cool, man. It was cool. And now I still love music. I still, I've told you a little bit, like me and a couple other friends have tossed around the idea of starting something up, but anything that we would do would probably be more of just kind of like a fun, just like a fun kind of like play shows on the weekend kind of thing. But I definitely, the part that I miss the most is just fucking playing, man. Like, from doing it, like playing a show is the fucking greatest. Like there's nothing better. And
there's no better release. It's also kind of a workout. You know what I mean? There's the here. I'm trying to bring up the EP art just in case people are having a hard time remembering, which what the EP art looked like. But it was this one right here, because a lot of people during this time, which I can relate, we were all on the blogs. We were all hopped up on the deathcore blogs back then, like Death Total Deathcore, Deathcore is Sexy, and it was like, honestly, I wish we could get back to this, because I felt like back then there was so much musical discovery happening where we got up in the morning and we checked our MySpace or whatever. We might have been loosely using Facebook back then, but you log into your fucking AIM account, and then in a browser page of Mozilla Firefox, you pull up Deathcore is Sexy, and you just look at what's the newest shit they have on there. And like I remember going on that fucking blog and just downloading. If they would throw a new thing on there, I was fucking downloading it. And I might listen to it and be like, I don't like this, and delete it. But dude, this sticks out to me kind of as like something that this is a time, like a time capsule for me. Like, because if you look at this EP art and you lived during that time where I was on the blogs and you were a part of that, you remember like this EP art as like, it's like a timepiece. Like, oh yeah, man. Like I remember like fucking getting on those blogs and fucking downloading that shit. You know what I mean? And dude, I bet you it's that way for a lot of people too.
Yeah. I still have that. I still have one copy of that. And it's plastic.
Damn, the original.
And it's plastic, the original. Which
does it have those little stickers on it that's like for fans of Slipknot or whatever? Does it have like no? Some bands had those on their shit.
This was that was our self-released EP. The full length did not do anywhere near as well as the EP did, because
is the Righteous Dead the EP or the full length?
Yeah, the Righteous Dead is the EP. The Righteous Dead is the EP. It has, I think it's 7 songs. The EP or the full length is on Spotify. You like have to search it kind of weird, but it's deep in Spotify. But the full length for us, we were really leaning into like we were really leaning into like the groove style. I was doing like a lot of vocal experimenting on it. Like I had some like more yelling, rappy kind of stuff, which was cool looking back. But when I look back, like the best shit we did was our heavy shit. And that EP was heavy from front to back, you know, like it was just heavy from beginning to end. And I think that like we put out the full length, we were leaning into a lot more experimental stuff, which is really cool. Like I listen to it now and there's a lot of songs that I like on there, but then there's stuff that I listen to and I'm like, why the fuck did we like, why did we do? But dude, there's one funny as shit on that full length. So when we tracked it with Justin was like, hey man, I write one breakdown for the EP, for the full length.
Oh yeah. You told me this, I think.
We're like, fuck yeah, dude. Of
Please.
Course. You're Justin Lowe. Yeah. So we were like, of course. So he's like, I'm gonna write one breakdown. I'll like, we'll place it somewhere. But it's so funny because you hear the EP go, and then there's just this like straight ATV. Bizarre, like
yeah. 3 2 1 8 7 6 3 1, like breakdown.
The timing's all over the place, and I'm like, that's definitely not us on there. But
I'll take it.
I mean I'll take it. But the EP, dude, like I still love that EP, and like. I'm so cool with
a lot of people.
Everybody who, I'm so cool with everybody who was in the band. Me and Ben, actually, we talk. You know this. Me and Ben talk all the time about like those days and shit, and we always talk about how fun it was. And
hey, Ben looks great too. He's been fucking grinding.
He's a shredder, dude. He's leaning out. He's shredded now.
He'll post these videos of these burgers that he gets, and I'm like, you deserve that, King. Like every time he posts one, I'm like, you deserve that, King. Eat one for me.
It looks so good, man. I know. It looks so good. Anyway. I'm still thinking about those smash burgers.
Oh, yeah. I know.
But anyway, me and him still talk, and we exchange. Now we'll like send each other like, dude, have you heard this band? Because like now I feel like I'm old now, even though I'm only 32. But like now I hear shit and like
you just did stuff early. You're not old, but your career is old, kind of. Like you did everything early on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like now, so funny now, like back when I was in Monsters, I was so much more of like an elitist. Like I'd be like, oh, this band sucks, or this band's great.
Were you you're a what people call a gatekeeper, maybe?
A gatekeeper, yeah. And now I feel like I'm just like so impressionable. Like people will show, like I'll hear a band and I'm like, this is fucking so fucking heavy, dude. Oh my! And people will be like, dude, that band sucks. And I'm like, dude, they're so heavy, you know, like.
It's so much more fun and feels better to be that way.
Yeah, dude.
It feels better to be more supportive and interested, and not lying about how you feel, but just being honest with how you feel about music instead of trying to like fucking be a know-it-all or be an elitist metal person.
Yeah, dude. Now when I listen to heavy music, I'm so much more like, I don't fucking care. I just want it to be heavy.
Right.
Like, I want the most ridiculous,
like Spite
heavy shit.
In those bands.
Dude, yeah, Spite. I like who am I listening to these days? Dude, actually, you know,
Traders and shit.
I've listened to a lot of BYSTANDER.
Thanks, dude.
Just a little plug there for you,
dude.
But I've been listening to a lot of Cattle Decapitation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they just came through.
Which is,
Last 10 Seconds is on tour with them too, and I like that band. Last 10 Seconds is fun.
My buddy sings for them. I'm gonna go see them.
Oh, really? What's that guy's name?
I'm gonna go see them. John.
He's cool. Tell him about
really
us.
Cool.
Tell him to take us on tour. Tell him to look us up because I love that band. They're one of my favorite live bands of all time. They're just so much fun.
So heavy, and
they're so much fun.
He knew me from back in the day from Monsters and stuff, so we've always kind of kept in touch. And then when he started singing for them, I'm like, dude, that band is fucking crazy because he's the second singer. There was a guy before him. That album, the one that's like
with the red guy, it has like the red guy.
The red guy, yeah. The red guy on it. That album, is not him.
Oh, okay.
That album.
So he came after that.
Soulless Hymns, yeah. So he came after that. But we're gonna go see him. Me and a couple buddies are gonna go see them and Cattle Decap when they play Joliet, Illinois, which is like an hour from me. But
that's cool.
They play. It's like February 3rd.
Good guy, Frank, always traveling to see people. You took a ferry to see us in fucking
Bremerton
on our last tour.
took a ferry and got drunk as shit.
You brought us. It was funny too because you were like already kind of like toasty when you showed up, and
Oh yeah.
you were like, hey dude, what's up, man? I'm excited to be here for your show. And you were like, hey, come here. I got some. Uncle Frank brought some liquor for you. Let's go outside and take some shots. And we were like, fuck yeah. And
Fireball, the fireball. We brought the fireball.
Yeah, the fireball. And well, that was the thing is we were like excited, and then you were like, dude, I got these at the gas station. You pulled out like there's like an 8-pack of fireball shots, and we were just like, oh, but we'll take them because you're on tour. Yeah. You know what I mean?
We were like driving there, and we took the ferry across. Me and Anthony did, and then we took the ferry across, and then we were drinking on the ferry because you don't have to drive, you know. So we're like drinking on the ferry, and then we were like, dude, we should get them some liquor. And then we just got fucking those little fireball shooters from the gas station. I remember they wouldn't let us. Obviously, we couldn't take them in, so we hid them behind your van tire. You remember that? We put them behind your tire. Yeah. I was like, where? Because your van was locked and we couldn't find you, and then we had to go into the show. So we were like, okay, let's put them somewhere. And then we had parked a little far, and I was like, dude, just put them behind the van tires. So we like hid them behind.
What's crazy to think about was like that was like the second show of tour, and like the shit we would experience after that. It's so much shit.
You guys murdered that tour.
We did pretty good. We're excited about it.
You did more than good. You did more than good. That was a fucking headliner that like you guys literally were. Dude, oh my gosh, I just saw the chat. My older brother's in here.
Vince Pierre. He says the audio keeps coming out, but that's not what I'm seeing on my end. So hopefully it was just a brief moment or something on his end. What's up? What's up, Vince? You don't know me, but I'm your cousin Taylor. You don't know me. I'm part of the family. Your mother loves me. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding. She does. She's great. She follows me on Instagram. It's great. I love it. Every time I see her liking my like metal screams, I'm like, Mrs. Pierri.
Yeah, she'll like anything, man. She's like, I saw your friend Taylor post this, and I liked it. I'm like, all right, great.
Our parents need to hang out. We need to schedule like a hangout, like a lunch date with our parents, where they fly halfway across the country and meet to hang out. It's like I wanted my mom to meet my good friend's mom because I thought they'd get along.
Right.
And just like TikTok it.
Right.
And dude.
So
that's a heartfelt. That's 1 million views right there. That's content, baby, right there.
That's a dude. That's content. A podcast waiting to happen.
So
that's a podcast.
So Monsters disbanded when? When did things stop?
We broke up in 2011.
2011. Okay. And so you were a band from when to when?
2008 to 2011. End of 2011.
Okay. So all that happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I just like had some random ideas of shit I would ask you, I guess, on here. It's like, when did, so now your passion right now, one of them you would say is probably fitness, right? And it has been for a while. And you put on a lot of mass, like a lot of muscle.
Did.
And you're basically, I can pull up these pictures here. If my computer will. Oh no, I wanted to get Afro Frank on there as well. Somebody said I miss Afro Frank, so I have Afro Frank pulled up as well. Look at that face, dude. That's the same guy buried under a head of hair right here.
Yeah,
dude,
buried under that.
That afro is fucking beautiful, dude. And look, I'll put your head right next to your today's head. That's the same. Here, just look kind of at the camera with that same face. And just give the people that.
Kind of like
to the side
a little bit.
Exactly. That's just senior photos right there. It's the same guy.
Senior.
That's the same guy, dude. I showed Sarah that picture when you sent it to me earlier, and she almost fell over.
Isn't that insane? Now my hair doesn't even grow, man. My hair doesn't even grow.
Dude, it's like, because it's spent so many years growing like that. It's just like tired. It's tired of growing. But you gave me a comparison photo here. I'll find it before I throw it up there. But yeah, so was it like you put down the mic and then like fitness was your shit after that? Or like you know what I mean? Was there a gap? Did you stop here? I'll ask one question at a time. When you stopped doing Monsters in 2011, was there like, you were like shuffling to find like a new band to like keep Monsters going, or like a new thing for Frankie to do? Or like, was it just like, I'm done with music now? Because for me, if my band tomorrow was like, we're done, dude, we're breaking up, we're done. Like the whole band just decided, everybody was decided we're leaving. I'm probably still gonna like, go try to do something. I'm gonna try to.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably gonna try to find another group of dudes, maybe. You know what I mean?
I think for me, the music part was kind of done because I had done music all through high school too. And I put a lot of work into the local band that I was in, the Dial. That was like a big chunk of my
Monsters
life.
was attempt number 2.
Yeah, so I think for me, like the end of that was kind of like, okay, you have to be done now. You have to be done with music. So I started to like got a job. I got a job like kind of right after the band, so I started working full time. But I really didn't have like any type of outlet. So what kind of happened is fitness kind of just like, I shouldn't say even fitness,
Cheers,
but
brother.
Lifting. Cheers, man. Cheers.
I wish I had one. I'm glad we did this. You will. Soon we'll do this again.
Next one.
But anyway,
Next one.
So no music, no third attempt at music. You were just like, nah, I think I'm gonna at least take a indefinite break from this. Was that maybe the mindset?
I was like, I got to try and make a normal living. I got to try and get a job. I never went to college, so I was like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do because I don't have a degree. So I actually got into retail. And then actually that spanned the next 10 years of my career was in retail. And I started like moving all over the country with it, got promoted, and ended up out in Seattle from retail.
Okay.
But I found lifting weights was kind of like the outlet that I had for music, like when you play a show, you're kind of putting it all out on the table, and you're like exhausting yourself and going ham, when you're playing. So for me, the next logical thing, I was still in that phase of my life where I was really, an aggressive, angry kind of kid.
Angry
yeah.
Frank.
So I was like, I gotta figure out what the channel is. So actually back to Danny from Oceano, what we were talking about earlier, he was getting into working out. And he was like kind of on a weight loss journey.
Mm-hmm.
So he invited me over to his basement once where he had a bunch of shit. He's like, dude, you should like work out with me. And then we started working out regularly. And then I started like really liking it. But then what I really fell in love with was strength training. So like for me, I never was one of those guys who was like, oh, I'm going to be super lean, I'm gonna have abs. For me, I was like, I just want to be the fucking strongest person that I can be.
Because you're pretty small. So then, you were a pretty like skinnier dude the whole time you were in the band, basically, right? Here, I got that picture pulled up right now, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I can make it. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger here for people. I can cover my ugly mug up for a minute, but look at that shit. That's just like almost a different person.
Yeah, I was like 100 in that picture. That picture, I was probably like 170 pounds, maybe like 180
on the left.
Yeah, the little version of me was probably like 175.
Dude, look at this. You look like a fucking. My favorite thing to compare you to is a street shark, dude. That's just my favorite thing. You're just
It's a nice compliment.
You're a street shark now. It's just
a nice compliment.
Look how juicy you are right here, dude. Woo!
All
natural too.
Small.
All natural.
I never took any roids.
No roids.
Just ate a lot.
Imagine what you would look like if you did take roids.
I'd probably just have better abs, to be honest, because you can't really break 200 pounds without eating a little shitty food.
Right. That's just crazy. Anyone who says those arms and shoulders, like you basically took somebody else's shoulders and put them on top of your shoulders.
Yeah. So I started doing like strength training. After I had gotten pretty consistent in the gym, I was getting pretty strong, and then a couple friends of mine who were in the powerlifting world, they were like, you should look into like powerlifting. And then I started training, like actually getting on training blocks that were strength focused. And then I actually, right around like 2016, I actually started competing. So I did a couple powerlifting meets. So I did like a couple actual competitions, which was cool. I definitely think it's a young man's game because now for me, I mean, it's funny. Now for me, working out is like really, really to me about the cathartic side of
It's
it.
like therapeutic.
Yeah, I'm not when I lift now. I barely go that heavy. Like I still keep my bench
Barely
pretty
go that
high.
heavy. I saw you doing like 315 the other day or something crazy.
Yeah. I like to.
Or maybe
keep,
that's not crazy. I just don't power lift. I don't know.
The best bench I ever did. I benched 420 before in the gym.
Not even
in
joking.
competition.
Not even joking.
Not even joking. Not even joking. I've done a 420
Nice.
bench. Done a 405 bench like 3 different times. I squatted 455 before, and I deadlifted 520 before.
That doesn't like mean a lot to me because I don't know, but it sounds fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Sounds heavy as fuck.
It's mediocre. I mean, there's the guys who are in my. That's why I kind of didn't want to stick with doing the meets, because when you do a powerlifting meet, like most of the guys there are on drugs, they're on steroids. So like the guys in my they do it by weight class. Yeah, they do it by weight class. So the guys who are in my weight class, like I would be benching, high 300s. The guy in my weight class would be benching high 400s. You know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of like, there wasn't a lot of there wasn't a lot of drive for me to stay in that. But so now working out for me is very much like, I like being on a nice regimen. Like I like working, I work full time now, get off work at 5, eat a little something, hit the gym for an hour or two, and then come home and chill. So like, to me, working out is very much around just like, there I can stay consistent and feel healthy about it. Because to me, like when I don't work out and I just eat like whatever, then I start to feel like sluggish and kind of gross and shit. So now I'm getting, I'm in my 30s now, so like I want to make sure I'm not like destroying my joints and shit. You
gotta be careful.
My shoulder hurts all the time. My elbows hurt.
That's kind of how I am with like jujitsu stuff, where like, because that's what I've been doing jujitsu stuff recently. Ever since like July, I started in July, and even some of those days, I do it like twice a week. As much as I can. Sometimes I go once a week. Some weeks I don't make it, but most of the time I try to go Tuesdays and Thursdays. And like even then, like I really try to play it safe, because it's like, dude, I'm not trying to get injured here. You know what I mean? And like, there's a lot of dudes in there that just get in there and they just want to tear your arm off, and it's like, dude, stop. You got to figure out like who to roll with. You know what I mean?
I know.
But yeah, we're not trying to kill ourselves here. I'm just trying to like have a healthy hobby and a healthy habit.
I think like now I like to keep the 3-plate rule. As long as I can squat 3 plates, bench 3 plates, and deadlift 3 plates, I'm good. Everything else is just, that's fine.
It's trying too hard.
Yeah.
So you said you would say that your passion for fitness kind of did it. When like alcoholics quit drinking, but they have to chew a bunch of gum or something, or they have like a, you know what I mean? Like they have like they're like a placeholder. Do you think that it kind of filled a void a little bit at all? You know what I mean?
I think it definitely did, just on the side of just wanting to,
or like a goal,
live my life.
a goal, something to, an outlet, physical outlet, yes, but then also like like with the band, you're always like pushing. You know what I mean? Like you're always trying to grow and try to do better, and so it's like,
I think to be really honest, man, I think what kind of took that place for me was my job.
Okay.
So like I started in sales in retail, and I just was relentless about getting promoted. So I went through a 10-year career from working from the sales floor all the way out to their corporate offices. And I worked for Nordstrom. And so like I think that really filled that void, because I think the lifting filled the grind. The lifting filled like the aggression side and like the stress relief side. But I think the idea for me, like I was like, I'm just going to get in a company and I'm just going to see how far that I can go with it. So I was really, 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 really focused on that. And I moved 3 different times I moved 3 different times during that career, moved for different jobs. So I think that kind of filled that void. But I think the side of just like letting loose and just like giving into your primal side a little bit more is definitely the lifting, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That kind of is like the aggression of like playing shows and breaking the sweat kind of thing. You know what I mean? That
Exactly,
kind of fills
exactly.
that void, and then the job fills the like business side of music, like getting the booking and getting that next big show. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
literally, because
Basically,
like
you're
no, like
selling
that's
yourself.
the
Basically, is what you're doing.
yes, yes, and it scratches that itch of like, what can I bring to the table? What can I do,
Especially
and
as
that
a
kind of shit.
vocalist who doesn't do the music side. That's kind of been always
Yes,
my role is like I promote and do everything that's not music writing, music related, except for lyrical shit, of course. But it's like, they help out on lyrics whenever they want to or have something they want to throw in. But it's like I handle the lyrics and I record the vocals and then I do like the marketing shit in
yes,
that because
that's what
I
I did.
can't
That's
write
what I
I
did.
can't write guitar riffs and I can't play the drums, write the drum parts. You know what I
Yep.
mean? But that's basically. And now I try to do like some camera shit too. I try to add that to my repertoire of like what I can offer.
I did.
But
Yeah,
but
man.
that's cool,
Yeah.
man. So we're also still in like January, February. I feel like this is like peak people giving up on their New Year's resolution time. Like
Yeah.
my birthday is like the January 26th is a great day to give up on your fucking New Year's resolution. Like everyone's doing it.
Mhm.
They're like, you know what? I'm done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna start
Yeah.
drinking again.
Yep.
So I
Totally.
guess how do you stay like motivated to go to the gym? And I know my boy likes to eat. We eat
Yeah.
together. You and
Yeah.
I eat together. We put it down.
Yeah.
But it's like I know you're kind of cutting right now. It's like
Yeah. I'm trying to eat
chicken and rice right now, as much as you
turkey,
can.
turkey and rice,
Turkey and
turkey and
rice.
rice, and chicken and rice as much as
And
I can.
but it's like how does a person, and even if you're not super motivated right now, you don't have to like lie to kick it, which I know you won't, because I know you like to enjoy yourself too, and eating. You're not
Yeah.
you're not in a super strict bodybuilder working out
Oh
super
no.
hard mode right now, and you're not eating to cut weight right now. But it's like generally speaking, what did you do or what have you done to kind of stay motivated to go to the gym?
Yeah.
And because you don't look like that, you don't look like an ox like that out leisurely going to the gym. There was a period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
There was a period of time that you can at least tap into your mindset back then, where you were fucking, I'm gonna look like a monster, and you were
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and you were, no pun intended, but you're like, I'm gonna fucking keep going. And it's like a lot of people lose steam, and a lot of people right now this time of year are really losing steam. Like this is that
Yeah.
time of year where like January 1st, boom, I'm gonna hit it hard, and then like right here creeping into February is when people start to give up. So it's like, what do you do to kind of circumvent that?
I think what I always tell people when they ask this question or they talk about working out is I think you have to find what workout you like doing. So like I would see people who like, okay, like for example, I hate running. I hate it.
Right.
Hate running. I hate cardio. The most cardio that I do now is I'll walk on an incline for like 30 minutes and just burn some calories. But like what I tell people is find what style of working out that you like and you'll stick with it. Because I think people think that they have to fit one mold of working out. So they'll be like, oh, if I'm going to start going to the gym, that means I have to go at 5 in the morning. I have to run a mile in the morning. I have to do cardio all the time. Or
Right.
like there are so many avenues of fitness, like jujitsu, like you said, like you're doing some rolling, right? Like that burns calories. You like
Oh
doing
my
it.
God,
You're
it's
going to
crazy.
sit, you're going to go because you like doing
Right.
it. For me, I love lifting. I loved lifting. I love the strength side of it.
You
I
like
love
the
how
technique.
I love how tangible it is. To me, you either lift it or you can't. You lifted it one week, and then the next week you added 5 pounds. Like they're very like tangible goals, and they're really easy to put on paper. So that's what I like. I'm not about to go and run a marathon. Like
Right.
I'm not like people have said to me, I know a couple people who have been like, oh, have you ever thought about doing like an Ironman, or have you thought about doing like, Tough Mudder, all these things? And I'm like, no,
Like
absolutely
the
not.
strongest
And
man challenge or whatever.
Well, it's just like people will be like, oh, would you? You're a fitness, like people always assume if you work out, they're like, oh, you're into fitness. I'm like,
Right.
not really. I just like lifting weights. I love lifting weights, and the byproduct is it makes you strong and buff. But like,
It makes you
I
feel
would say
good
to
too.
somebody,
There's a mental thing about it too.
take some inventory on like style you like. Like I knew a friend of mine in Seattle, she's like, I'm gonna try CrossFit. And I'm like, you're gonna hate CrossFit. That's not your style. And she's like, no, I think I'm gonna try it. Sure enough, she's like, I stopped. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not fun. Then I know people who are in love with running, like they
Right.
love it. And I'll say to them, you want to come lift? And they're like, no, I run at that
my
time.
buddy Matthias, you remember Matthias?
Yes.
He has become a complete psychopath runner. Like he's like, yeah, dude, I run in the snow and I run in the rain and I run every day. And I'm like, dude, I fucking wish I could tap into that. You know what I mean?
That's the thing is, yeah, people think it's like a one size fits all where you have to tap into those things. I'm never going to be Matthias.
Right.
Matthias is never going to be a power lifter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he might dabble, but like I'm saying, he found what he likes, and that's what makes him stay consistent.
Exactly.
You don't have to do CrossFit. You don't have to run marathons. There's a million. Go to a fucking spin cycle class if that's what makes you get up and get active.
So I guess the advice would be to experiment too, and like
find what you like.
Do a taste test of all this different shit.
Yeah,
and just like
I don't like dieting. I love food. I love eating. It's one of my favorite things to do in the whole world. I think
we're
to dinner
so
with
good
friends,
at it. We are so good at it.
Yeah, we're so good at it. And going to dinner.
I'm a pro.
Going to dinner with friends, dude. Yeah,
you and I are pro. Don't get us together because we will eat.
I know.
I will eat your whole kitchen.
Eat, homie. Straight up. And I think that's the thing is I like lifting because it allows me to do that.
Right.
So I'm not going to be someone who's a bodybuilder. I'm just not going to be that guy. But people fall off their resolutions when they try to be something that they're not. Like, be realistic. Be realistic with yourself, man.
That's good
like,
shit
I'm not
right there.
Like,
that's why we do the podcast right there. That's why we do the podcast for those little nuggets. That's a nugget.
Yeah.
Say it again.
It's a nugget. I said find. What did I say?
See, it was so good. You can't even remember.
The reason people stop doing it is because they do shit that they don't like, and they're trying to be.
They're trying to be somebody they're not, basically.
Yeah. You Damn, people lie.
Profound.
Like I'm not one of those people who's like super well read. I don't read a lot, right? People will say like, "Oh yeah, my New Year's resolution is I'm going to try and read 20 books before the end of the year." I'm like, I'm never going to set that resolution because I'm not going to do it. I don't like it.
Well, not only that, but if you did, how much are you going to really absorb if you're not like a reader person? You know what I mean? How much of it is just going to be looking at the book and flipping the pages and getting it done versus like really comprehending and absorbing the material that you're reading?
Yeah. So if you want to set a goal, make it a goal that you will enjoy because you'll do it then.
Right.
No, if you don't like it, not gonna.
You gotta blend work and pleasure on that one. You gotta find a balance for that one.
Bro.
So I mean, shit, dude. I hate to tell you this because we're getting old and time is flying by us. But can you believe we just did 2 hours? I feel like I could talk to you for 2 more hours. I think that's
Dude, I
think that's crazy.
That's impressive.
I'm impressed with the AirPods battery life, frankly.
I know.
I'm impressed with the AirPods battery life. I mean, we can wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, though, I do want to talk about a little project that you've been working on, and I want to see. I'm not talking about a music project. I'm talking about Cringe on Hinge, dude.
Oh my God.
I want to play a couple Cringe on Hinges if we can. I think I have it pulled up.
Yeah, play one. Let's preface.
Yeah, so I want the story of Cringe on Hinge and you got to explain it to somebody the way that you explained it to me, because it's so funny to me because I've been in a relationship for like 10 years. And so my relationship predates like Tinder and all these dating apps. So it's even funnier for me because I don't know anything about this culture at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never had a Tinder. I've never had a date, like OK Cupid or whatever, or a Bumblebee or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know how this world works. And so when you told me about this Cringe on Hinge thing, Hinge is a dating app, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And
so I can tee it up for you. So Hinge is a dating app that I'm currently single, so I'm
ladies
messing around with it.
Frank is currently single. Chi-Town.
This is a metal podcast.
All dudes.
Any ladies on the call, but so
here, back up a little bit, Frank, because they can't see your face. It's all right. Sorry.
So when I've been dabbling with dating apps, and Hinge just did this update where they can you can record your voice. So like Hinge works with prompts. So like under each photo, there's a prompt. Okay, so the prompt will be like my best blue steel, and it's like a selfie. So
Right.
they then added these voice prompts. So the voice prompts can be like, I'm into, and then you literally record your voice and be like, hey, what's up? It's Frankie. I'm into this and this, right?
But they're so fucking cringy.
Not only are they cringy, they are madness. Like the shit people say, I'm like, what, where? Like, think of you being in your room and you're like, hey, dude, I'm getting on a dating app and I'm going to record this message. Like, you'll hear the message. And what fascinates me is these people are doing this on their own accord. Nobody is telling them to record these. They're like, I need to make a dating profile. I better make a fucking voice prompt. So these voice prompts get weirder and weirder. And to be honest with you, guy ones are the worst. The guy ones are the worst.
The guy everything is the worst when it comes to dating apps.
They're so cringy. They're so painful. And what I started doing is I started just screen recording from my iPhone. I started screen recording the voice prompt and
anonymously,
then just posting that.
Not putting anyone on blast or anything.
Yeah, I don't do any pictures or names. I just take the voice prompt and then I put it on TikTok. So I started posting them on TikTok.
You got an Instagram too, though.
Yeah, we got an Instagram and TikTok.
Here, I'm gonna link the Instagram. You know what you should do eventually? Maybe we can work together. You got to set up like a Twitch streaming, like not be on Twitch, but just like a recording thing like this, like Hardcore Keem does, and you got to react to these. That's the next stage of Cringe on Hinge, is reacting to these, kind of like we're probably gonna do right now.
Yes,
but I don't know. I don't know.
Let me see. I text you. Can I text you some to pull up?
Yeah, you can throw links in the chat too, if that.
Okay, let me throw a link. Let me throw a link in here. There's a few that are. There's this one. Oh my God! Hold on.
Yeah, pick some of your favorite ones, and then I'll throw those up, and then we can wrap, because dude, I'm honestly super excited and proud of us for getting through a quick 2 hours like nothing, dude. Like we had to direct it, otherwise we would have just went off on tangents, and it's like we're gonna have to do this again in person. It's gonna be even better. So
yes. Okay, hold on.
I thought Cringe on Hinge would be a good way to wrap it up with something funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Okay, this one's perfect. So this one is
yeah, just text it to me, actually, if that's easier.
Yeah, let me text it to you. So we're really hoping that this shit takes off, because to me, I think just the name alone, Cringe on Hinge, I think that's a great play on words.
If I do say so myself, I think the name really has I think the name has legs.
I think that I think the name definitely has legs, dude. They're just so bizarre.
Concept that I developed.
It sucks. I want to hear it too. The way I have this set up is like
to figure out how
a little different. Hang on a second.
Love someone, but abuse them.
Okay, and then I also we're gonna play two.
Does not.
All right, and then wrap after those two, because I got to do a few things too.
Yeah, no doubt. I got to get
these
going
two.
Here. But all right, hang on. So we have this pulled up.
You put it up so we can see the prompt?
Yeah, so I have it right here. It's up. Here, I'll cover my face with it real quick. And so hang on, this should play loudly enough. I can't hear it the way that things are set up here. So because I can't hear what the desktop is hearing. So but they can hear it on the stream. It'll play on the stream.
I'm fairly set on this idea.
You play it on your phone so you can hear it, so we can discuss it.
Concept.
Yes.
Tell me when you press play and we'll be quiet.
All right. Here, I'll restart it. This is again, this is my second episode of my podcast, guys. So I apologize. I'm trying to get the kinks worked out, and first episode where I have a guest that's not in town too. So makes things a little different. But this is one of Frankie's Cringe on Hinge.
I'm fairly set on this
episodes
idea.
Here.
It's an concept that I developed a couple years ago when trying to figure out how someone can love someone but abuse them. I think that love does not require you to treat the person kindly. It doesn't even require to treat anyone in a good manner. I think that would be care. And I think that love and care are extremely different.
All right. I wish that I could have listened to it to react to it. Here, I'm going to listen to it on my phone real quick. Hang on.
It's an
just put your phone by the speaker.
All right, I'll do that.
A couple years ago when trying.
Well, I can't because I'm on my AirPods on the phone with you on speaker.
But
so.
abuse them.
I think that love put it by that mic.
Does not require you to treat the person kindly. It doesn't.
Well,
even
I'd have to
require
hang
to
up on
treat
you is the only
anyone
thing, because we're on the phone. You know what I mean? To hear each other. Hang on a sec. Let me pull this up.
And I think that love and
the
care
first one
are extremely different. I'm fairly set on this idea. It's an concept that I developed a couple years ago when trying to figure out how someone can love someone but abuse them. I think that
here's what I'm going to do to react in real time. I'm just going to press play at the same time on here. So hang on.
In a good manner.
But you could just do this shit for days, bro.
And I think that love and care
could you not?
Unlimited content.
Unlimited content that other people create for you. It's like a mine.
Literally.
It's like a mine of content. Hang on, let me see.
Concept that I developed a couple years ago.
I'm gonna restart this, and I'm gonna like 3, 2, 1, go it, and just press play.
I'm fairly set on this idea.
At the same time, so 3,
I'm fairly
2, 1,
set on this idea.
and you do that. You do the same thing, okay? We'll react to it in real time. All right, 3, 2, 1, press play.
This idea. It's an concept that I developed a couple years ago when trying to figure out how someone can love someone but abuse them. I think that love does not require you to treat the person kindly. It doesn't even require to treat anyone in a good manner.
What the fuck?
I think that would be care. And I think that love and care are extremely different.
What?
I'm fairly set on this idea.
Why is this guy? First of all,
it's an concept.
First of all, why is this guy talking like Count Dracula?
Dude, so that's the biggest question of these things is like, who are the people? Why are they talking the way they're talking? And that one in particular, he's like, what are you're dissecting like what love is? Like what is
and he's
bizarre.
He's clearly like a weird abusive dude. Like
you know what I mean? Dude, there's so much.
I'm gonna play it one more. I'm gonna play it one more time just for the chat so they can hear it.
I'm fairly set on this idea. It's an concept that I developed.
Sounds like Count Dracula. He's like trying to sound like
someone can love someone.
I don't even know, man. I can't even figure it out.
I think that love
and then the second
does
one,
not require you
we'll try
to
do it again all at the same time here. Gotta figure out how to get better.
Anyone in a good manner.
God, he is ridiculous. What a weirdo. And then this other one that you gave me here. What was the prompt? You said, bro, what?
I put the caption on that. The caption on that one, just put, bro, what? Because it's literally,
he's
the
like,
whole thing is like, wait, what?
And he's saying like, I don't, he's like, I think like abuse.
He wants someone out there to be like, damn, this guy's really a deep thinker, dude.
Right, and he's like trying to sound fancy. It's weird. He sounds like Jim Carrey trying to like sound fancy and like smart. You know what I mean? Like I don't get what he's after. So and then the second one, is this a girl one? Do we do like one of each?
This is a girl one. Yeah,
okay,
I did a girl one.
Perfect. Because we're all about diversity on the stream here. Equality. We're all about equality. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my messages. Let's try to do this again on the same tip on the like 3, 2, 1. I'll get it queued up real quick. Hang on. Okay. And I'm gonna bring this one up here too. Hang on. This is so ghetto trying to do this like a 3, 2, 1 go. But there has to be a better way, but it's just we're not here together. But it would be easier if we were here together. But do you have it queued up?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. 3, 2, 1 go. Oh, wait, hang on. I'm going to restart it because they couldn't hear it. I just realized. Hang on. Okay, so we're going to react real time together. 3, 2, 1, react.
I was actually washing my dreads and I was in the shower contemplating on
There's so many pauses.
Shampoo more important than conditioner? Or is conditioner?
Or is conditioner more important? Why is this on your dating site? Why?
Also,
you were washing your hair in the shower and you were having, why is that when you're like, I'm going to put this little thing about me, on my dating site?
What's funnier about that one is that they like her pauses. Like she's like, I was in the shower and I'm like, dude, like get to the fucking point, dude.
Yes, exactly. Oh, you're
shower thought I
your caption is the end of this one gets cut off. I'm honestly bummed because I was intrigued.
Yeah, she left.
What revelation did you come to?
She's like talking about which is more important, and then at the end she's like, "Is shampoo?" And then it just cuts off.
Dude, that is fucking hilarious. I'm gonna link your TikTok too.
Yeah, dude.
Somebody said that. Somebody said about the first guy, if the green dude from Sesame Street was horny, that's what he would sound like. I don't know what she's talking about, like Oscar the Grouch or something.
That could be.
Well, hell yeah, Frank. This is your newest project. Thanks for fucking doing this with me.
Thanks for having me,
check out Cringe on Hinge. Keep an eye on Frank. I know he doesn't want to talk about it right now, but he may or may not have some music stuff in the works, which we really hope. We really hope that you do come back and do some stuff. I wanted to plug your brother too, because your brother's working on some cool music. Maybe I don't know if you got a link for me that I can drop in the chat. If you can text me a link, I'll drop it. Dom is working on some cool shit.
He does.
So I'm trying to make sure the whole Pierri family gets put on game. You know what I mean? Because
he's got some electronica stuff that he's working on. It's like electric pop kind of stuff. Send you the profile URL here.
I recently had.
Yeah, Frank,
man, thanks for having me, dude.
Of course, dude. I appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry it's kind of bootleg and we're long distance, but it is what it is. And we'll do. Yeah, it's Mood Funeral is your brother's project. I'm gonna link that right now. But yeah, I just I wanted to have you on specifically just because, like I said in the beginning, you're kind of a beacon of positivity and joy, and I think that generally that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast is have creative, positive shit go on, on here, and maybe some laughs and some lessons along the way. So I just kind of wanted to stick with that. I felt like you were the perfect person to have on because you always inspire me to be a more positive person. And I today and the last couple weeks I've needed a little bit of an attitude adjustment. So it was good talking to you. Yep.
Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And we'll wrap it up on that note. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or talk about at all?
Oh man, that's it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, dude, it was great.
Of course, man. Well, we'll talk soon, and hopefully next time it'll be in your neck of the woods or in my neck of the woods, dude. So, love you, brother.
Oh, yeah, brother.
And that's another episode. We out. Peace.
Out. Hey, bro.